Chapter 1090. How is it? When Yi Juetian saw that Gong Yu had returned, he hurriedly rushed up and asked. He was so nervous that he even grabbed onto Gong Yu's hands. You're hurting me, Gong Yu said in a low voice. Her beautiful face was a little red. These words were really memorable. Yi Juetian hurriedly let go of her hands. I'm sorry, I didn't hurt you, right? It hurts, Gong Yu said pitifully. Then I'll help you rub it. No matter what, Gong Yu is helping me so much, so I definitely have to treat her better. Gong Yu slightly lowered her head and allowed Yi Juetian to rub her hands. Those hands of his are really warm. In her own world, Gong Yu was a famous figure, and some men would have to be respectful when they saw her. However, in front of Yi Juetian, she acted like a little girl. This wasn't Gong Yu acting like this, she truly liked Yi Juetian. From his attitude towards Yi, it could be seen that he is a man who is loyal and affectionate. Even if the other party is an ordinary person, he still risked his life to save her. Just this attitude alone is enough to make me, Gong Yu, like him. However, attitude is attitude, I definitely won't allow you to like other women. You, Yi Juetian, can only have me, Gong Yu, in this life. Other women are not worthy. How is Yi? Yi Juetian hurriedly asked. Don't worry, Yi is already fine now. Really? Yi Juetian was delighted, as if he had just won some big prize. Would I lie to you? Gong Yu pouted. Yi Juetian hurriedly took out a mirror and called Yi. Yi, who was in the prison, heard it, looked at Yi, who was in the mirror, and asked anxiously, Yi, are you all right? Even now, this foolish woman is still worried about me, you have to think for yourself. Yi, I'm sorry, I harmed you and made you suffer. Yi Juetian said with pain in his heart as he tightly held onto the mirror. Gong Yu, who was at the side, looked at the mirror and seemed to be thinking about something. Yi, just now, Gong Yu already healed me. Look, I am the same as before, I'm fine. Yi waved her arms and had a warm smile on her face, making Yi Juetian feel at ease. Yi, don't worry, I will definitely save you. Yi Juetian said resolutely. Yi seemed to have thought of something, and her expression became downcast. Yay, I'm sorry. It's all my fault. Don't worry, I'll find a way to cure your mother. Really, I'll find a way. Trust me. Gong Yu, who stood at the side, sneered in her heart. You are just an ordinary person. What method do you have to cure Ju Tian's mother? You are really indulging in fantasy. Yi Juetian nodded his head. Of course I believe in you. Mother's illness will definitely be cured, don't worry. Next, the two of them continued chatting, both comforting each other. Gong Yu sat at the side and listened, feeling upset. But he didn't leave. He needed this kind of jealousy. Only then would he harden his heart. Meanwhile, on the other side, Yi Hua arrived at Lingdu Imperial Palace. He could only hope that Huang Fei did not destroy the spiritual spring. Even though he did not have high hopes for it, he still did not have high hopes for it. He had allowed his sons to kill one another, and he had even forced one of them to die right in front of him. If it were him, he would definitely have destroyed the spirit spring. Yi Hua didn't waste his breath and directly arrived at the emperor's sleeping palace. However, as soon as he appeared, he heard a woman's moans. The emperor was in a good mood this early in the morning. Prince Yi, why are you so anxious? I am currently comforting my woman. Huang Fei could clearly feel that this was an aura that he would never forget in his entire life. Yi Hua said faintly, then, Your Majesty, do your best to comfort your woman. I will be waiting for you. Fine. Huang Fei said faintly. However, the anger in his heart grew even bigger, and the strength he exerted also became stronger, completely disregarding the feelings of the woman beneath him. Sounds of pain and happiness rang out in the entire sleeping palace. After the time it takes for an incense stick to burn, the sounds disappeared, and Huang Fei walked out while wearing an imperial robe. Meanwhile, the woman on the bed had already fainted. Her eyes were red, and a look of pain could be seen on her face. Prince Yi, do you want to go and have some fun? Huang Fei stretched out his hand generously. To even let you do my woman, are you happy? Yi Hua said faintly, I have no interest in second-hand goods. Oh, is that so? I still have some unopened goods in my palace, how about Prince Yi go and choose from them? Yi Hua stretched out his hand and grabbed onto Huang Fei's neck, then said coldly, Your Majesty, are you trying to infuriate me? Cough, Prince Yi, how about killing me? Yi Juetian didn't panic in the slightest, and there was even a smile on his face. Yi Hua said gravely, I want the spiritual spring. Spiritual spring? Huang Fei said puzzledly. Immediately, he thought of Yi Hua's mother, then began laughing crazily. Yi Hua was very unhappy, bring me to get the spiritual spring. All right, I will bring you to get the spiritual spring. Huang Fei revealed out a strange smile and said. That smile of his contained a deep sense of ridicule. It was as if he was saying, Yi Hua. To think that you would have such a day. Huang Fei brought Yi Hua to the source of the spiritual spring. The source of the spiritual spring was deep beneath the palace. A coiling dragon could be seen circling around the room, and at the center of the room, there seemed to be an altar. On the altar, there was a golden bowl. This was definitely an artifact that was used to contain the spiritual spring. However, Yi Hua discovered that the dragon head had disappeared. It had rolled to the side. Aya, Prince Yi, I'm sorry, there was actually a thief that destroyed the spiritual spring. Although Huang Fei was saying that he was sorry, his face didn't have any intention of apologizing at all, and his face was still filled with ridicule. Yi Hua took a deep breath, seemingly trying to calm himself down. This damnable Huang Fei. As expected, he destroyed the spiritual spring. Aya, I forgot that Prince Ye's mother needs the spiritual spring to save her life. I'm really sorry, that's right, it is I who was negligent, I will apologize to Prince Yi, ha ha ha. After finished speaking, Huang Fei laughed loudly. He was feeling very good in his heart, especially when he saw Yi Hua's sullen look, he felt even better. I feel so good from my toes all the way to my head. If someone were to ask me what is the best time in my life, then it would definitely be right now. Prince Yi, why aren't you saying anything? How about you kill me instead? Huang Fei kept his smile and said provocatively. Yi Hua remained silent. What, you don't dare to kill me? That's true, Prince Yi is a person that is revered by tens of thousands of people in Spiritual City. If you kill me, the Emperor, without a reason, everything that you have done would have been wasted. TSK, what a pity. Huang Fei's current look was very cheap to the point that no one could understand it. Yi Hua took out a stick of cigarette and lit it up. My mood today is very bad, everything that I have done is not going according to plan. This is simply the darkest day of my life. And this idiot emperor, I really want to slap him to death, but I won't let him die so easily. Chapter 1091. Seems like Prince Ye's mother is out of medicine. Why didn't you pay attention to it? You have to pay more attention in the future. Huang Fei said with a teasing tone. Hearing Huang Fei's words, Yi Hua tightly wrinkled his brows. It's that woman that you arranged? Yi Hua asked coldly. Huang Fei went into a daze. As expected, something happened. Although I don't know what happened, I am still very happy to be the scapegoat. Aya, Prince Yi even found out about this. I still didn't hide it well enough. Huang Fei laughed out loud. The heavens are truly too good to me. I can't kill this Yi Hua, but killing his mother is also a good thing. As expected, that woman was arranged by this emperor. Thinking about all of this, everything seems to make sense. Using a woman to sow discord between me and my brother, and even destroying my mother's spiritual spring. What a smart opponent. I, the Supreme Overlord, have made an error of judgment. And that woman. Even I was fooled by his acting skills. Say that again. This woman was arranged by you. Yi Hua asked coldly. Huang Feidi was simply trying to be the scapegoat and was seeking death. That's right. I'm the one who arranged this. I'm going to ruin your family. Just like me. I will kill you. After finished speaking, Huang Feidi laughed maniacally, as if he had gone mad. Is this still the emperor of the gods' realm? Yihua breathed out a mouthful of smoke, then punched onto Huang Feidi's abdomen. Under this punch, Huang Feidi only took a step back, then looked towards Yihua, seemingly asking, "Why didn't you punch me to death? Come. Aren't you very powerful? If you kill the emperor, you won't be able to raise your head in this lifetime. Don't worry, I won't kill you right now. I will make you wish you were dead. You will know the effect of this punch. We will slowly settle this debt in the future. Wait for me to settle this matter. Wait for me to settle this matter, then you will know what despair is." After finished speaking, Yihua disappeared. The most important thing right now is to solve my mother's illness, everything else isn't important. However, there is still one more matter that I have to settle, and that is this woman. She is actually a spy sent by this emperor, and I didn't even notice her. This emperor sure is smart. He used an ordinary woman to confuse me, and he even caused estrangement between me and my own younger brother. This move of his is truly not bad, I fell for it. Looking at Yihua leaving, Huang Feidi felt very satisfied, and he even started whistling. Without the spiritual spring, let's see if that old fart of yours can still hold on. After returning to his chambers, Huang Feidi went back to his bed. He was in an extremely good mood and decided to have another round of fun. "Your Majesty, I can't take it anymore." Feeling the emperor's action, the beautiful woman began begging for mercy. And Huang Feidi liked this kind of attitude. He didn't care about anything. But at this moment, he felt that something was wrong. Very painful. It was as if it was going to explode. Such a reaction scared Huang Feidi so much that he immediately pulled out his sword. Everything is normal again, however, at this moment, Yihua's words resounded in his mind. "You can be a living eunuch for this prince. Otherwise, the news will spread that the emperor exploded on the dragon bed and died, leaving his name in the annals of history." Huang Feidi tightly clenched his fists. "Yihua! Yihua! I will King kill you." This was what Huang Feidi was currently shouting in his heart. "I don't care about my face, but Yihua must die." After returning to his own territory, Yihua didn't hurry to tell Yi Juetian about Yi's true identity. It wasn't that he didn't want to give Yi Juetian a blow, but rather, he wanted Yi Juetian to know that the good that this woman treated him so well was all a lie. All for the sake of destroying our family. I want Yi Juetian to properly experience how good this woman is, only then will he know how disgusting this woman is. Right now, Yihua had an even more important matter that he needed to understand. And that was Lai Gu and Dou Fusher's mission. It has already been a few days since Yihua left, and according to the coordinates that Yihua and Dou Fusher provided, Yihua and Dou Fusher should have already been found and brought back. Why aren't they back yet? Just what is going on? Lai Gu. Where are they? Are they still not found yet? Yihua immediately sent a voice transmission to Lai Gu. Lai Gu's tone seemed to be a bit off, and with a tone of wanting to die, he said, "Your Honor, subordinate is really unable to invite them. Dou Fusher and I both want to die, and this Qing Su, I don't know what I should say anymore. Don't talk nonsense, bring them back first." Yihua said gravely. "Right now isn't the time to be messing around, there is an important matter that needs to be settled." Lai Gu said gloomily, "Your Honor, it isn't that I, Lai Gu, am unwilling to bring them back, but this pervert is unwilling to bring them back. He wants to commit suicide at the slightest provocation. I am afraid that he will act recklessly." Commit suicide? What is going on? Yihua was very puzzled. This Qing Su will commit suicide? Could it be that Qing Su is researching something again, so he decided to kill me first? And then save me afterward? F***K. This pervert is getting more and more advanced. Your Honor, it is better for you to come over and take a look yourself. I really don't know what is going on. Yi Hua let out a deep sigh. Why is everything going wrong today? Can't they just let me have a good day? At the west of the north of Kangluo continent, there was a small village called the Rising Sun Village. The name of the village was a bit weird, but the villagers that lived here were all simple and honest villagers, and they seemed to be very amiable. The houses were all made from wood, and they were rather simple and crude. There were roughly 300 plus people in the entire village, and most of them were the elderly and children. Not far away from the small village, there was a temple, and inside the temple, there was a monk. This monk was different from the other monks. This monk's body was very big, and this kind of size was not the feeling of strength, but the feeling of meat. Instead, it was the feeling of flesh. This person was at least 1,000 pounds. That layer upon layer of suet, that fat head, big ears, and even his eyes were gone. Right now, the monk was holding onto a chicken drumstick with both of his hands and sending it into his mouth. A chicken was gone in just a few bites. This monk was just an appetizer. This is Qing Su. Lord Qing Su of the 7 deadly sins. Back then, he killed half of the overlords in anger. How awesome was he, how glorious was he. Yet, 10 years later, he actually became such a foodie. This is simply even more of a pig than a pig. This is unimaginable. Meanwhile, Lai Gu and Dou Fusher stood at the side and looked at the scene, and their scalps went numb. Where is he? Yi Hua instantly appeared at the side. Lai Gu and Dou Fusher shouted out respectfully, "Subordinate pays respect to your honor." Yi Hua looked towards the bald monk who was currently eating a pig's head with big bites. Don't tell me that this fellow is Qing Su. Yi Hua muttered. Lai Gu wanted to cry, "Your honor, this foodie is Qing Su." Yi Hua held on to his forehead. My team is a team that is full of looks. Why is there such a cheater like you in my team, and you are even one of the 7 deadly sins? If I were to bring this fellow back, a pig would appear in one of the 7 deadly sins. Yi Hua was about to walk forward, but Lai Gu hurriedly said, "Your honor, Qing Su lost his memories." What? Lost his memories? Yi Hua said gravely. Yi Zizi lost her memories back then, and this fellow lost his memories as well? Chapter 1092. Lai Gu nodded his head and said with a sorrowful tone, Qing Su's memory loss is different from Yi Zizi's. Qing Su's memory loss is very thorough, and he doesn't even know how to use poison anymore. He has completely treated himself as an ordinary person. When we were going to capture him, he wanted to commit suicide. In the end, he found out that we seemed to be very afraid of him committing suicide, so he forced us to buy food for him, and if we didn't buy food, he wanted to commit suicide. In any case, he wanted to commit suicide at the slightest provocation, and I even wanted to commit suicide. Your honor, please find someone else, I won't be able to accept this mission anymore. Lai Gu was about to cry. I have never seen someone so shameless before. When he first arrived, he was afraid that he would be poisoned to death. But in the end, he realized that he would be angered to death instead of being poisoned to death. After hearing that, Yi Hua's face turned black. Did I step on dog shit today? Why am I so unlucky? Even Qing Su was an idiot. Yi Hua walked in front of Qing Su with a straight face. Looking at that plump belly of Qing Su's, there are at least more than 10 layers of abs. Can that face still count as a face? Even Qing Su could wear Brett's clothes in the past, but now he had become like this. Was this the fall of humanity or the fall of the team? Qing Su looked at the handsome guy in front of him and suddenly let out a mischievous laugh. That fat and oily hand of his actually touched onto his bald head, and his bald head immediately started reflecting light. Yi Hua was dumbfounded. Do you know who I am? Yi Hua asked coldly. This Qing Su is definitely faking it. It is impossible for him to have such a foolish look. Qing Su grabbed another roast chicken and started to bite from its butt. Are you going to buy me food too? If you don't, I'll kill myself. Yi Hua, F***ck me. This fellow actually dared to threaten me to commit suicide. then I will send you to heaven right now. Seeing that His Honor was about to flip out, Lai Gu hurriedly hugged onto His Honor and said, "His Honor, don't get agitated, this fellow has really lost his memory." Do Fusher, who was at the side, said, "Your Honor, I have asked around in the village. Qing Su appeared 10 years ago, and they all saw how fat Qing Su became." Yi Hua was gasping for breath, and his breathing was a bit hurried. It was clear that he was angered quite badly by everything that happened today. Initially, he thought that after he found Qing Su, he could rely on his medical skills to save his mother. He never expected that he would become like this. He even threatened me just now. Your King nature hasn't changed at all. You even know how to threaten me. Not bad. It was getting worse. Benefactor, I would like to ask for some vegetarian food, is it possible? Qing Su clapped his hands together, then clasped his palms together towards Yi Hua with a pious look on his face. When Yi Hua saw Qing Su's actions, he immediately wanted to kill Qing Su. Are you fucking playing with me? Begging for alms? Main body transformation my ass. Your Honor, calm down. Although Lai Gu said so, in actuality, the thought of getting rid of Qing Su had appeared in his mind countless times. This person said that it was one of the 7 deadly sins. Isn't this the same as losing face? Benefactor, why are you so angry? Let this little monk help you solve your problems. Qing Su calmly asked. But when matched with that big face of his, it was just too comical. Lai Gu. I'm going to fucking kill him. Your Honor, calm down. Just get used to it. However, Qing Su calmly said, Benefactor, lay down the butcher's knife and become a Buddha. Yi Hua, Lai Gu, floating world, this Qing Su had probably killed too many people in the past, so he wanted to be a monk and chant sutras in this life. Yi Hua's bones cracked, and he grabbed out with one of his hands. Qing Su's enormous emotions floated in the air. However, his emotions were very calm. Qing Su closed his eyes and placed his palms together. Jesus said, "If I am inferior to hell, who will enter hell?" Lai Gu's eyes rolled up. This is what God said. Floating world blushed with shame, then corrected Lai Gu. This is what Buddha said. Lai Gu slapped his head with the back of his hand. Nonsense, do you think that I, big brother, don't know? I am merely testing you. Oh, is that so? Big brother is really smart. Of course. Yi Hua felt that he was going to explode. Why do I have such a stupid subordinate? This is so painful. Benefactor, if you want to kill this little monk will not resist. However, this little monk is still not full. Can Benefactor help this little monk buy 10 roast chickens? Add more chili to the chicken, and don't roast them too well, if not they won't have the texture. Hearing that, Yi Hua was stupefied. Soon after, he held on to his forehead and laughed. Lai Gu and Floating World retreated backwards. What is going on with His Honor? This is so scary. Qing Su directly drove His Honor crazy. Yi Hua laughed for a very long time, then waved his hand, and a few strange marks could be seen appearing on top of Qing Su's head. Back then, Yi Hua used moonlight candle to shine on Yi Zizi, and only then did he discover that Yi Zizi had been sealed. However, that moonlight candle was a one-time use item, and there was only one of it. However, although this move wasn't as useful as moonlight candle, it was still barely enough to see if this fellow had a screw loose or not. If not, why would he lose his memory, and even forget that he is a poison master? Even if you forget that you are a poison master, you still have to remember that you know how to concoct the antidote. My mother is still waiting for the antidote to save her life. This isn't a joking matter. Seeing that Yi Hua was staring at him like that, Qing Su's heart felt a bit numb. Benefactor, it has been a long time since I took a bath. I forgot to ask Benefactor to think thrice before you act. After hearing that, the corner of Yi Hua's mouth twitched, and he immediately sealed Qing Su's mouth. Qing Su was startled. What a scary man. To actually seal my mouth, is he afraid that I will scream? Buddha above, disciple is going to lose my chastity today. Yihua looked at Qing Su's characteristics. There isn't any adverse reaction, and it seems to be very normal. There isn't any seal, there isn't anything at all. Could it be that I met with the same situation as Brett? Can I only wake up after being beaten to death? Should I give it a try? Right now, Qing Su looked at Yihua's gaze and swallowed his saliva. This handsome fellow's taste is really unique, to actually like me. As a disciple of Buddha, I should be happy to help others. Come. Humiliate me, handsome fellow. Luckily, Yihua wasn't able to hear it. If he knew, he would definitely try to beat Qing Su to death and see if he could come back to life. After all, back then, Brett was beaten to death, then he came back to life, and after that, he knew everything that happened. Perhaps, Qing Su is also like this. Your Honor, you can't do that. If you really beat him to death, then he will really die. Lai Gu still had to warn Yihua. What happened to Brett might be an accident, but what if Qing Su doesn't come back to life? Yihua thought to himself, if Qing Su really died, then who is going to treat my mother's illness? Furthermore, I will also lose a powerful subordinate. The gains do not make up for the losses. Back then, Brett was also beaten to death by someone else. Should I look for someone else to beat Qing Su to death? Yihua looked towards Dou Fusher. Dou Fusher's entire body was trembling. His Honor's gaze is so unique. However, Qing Su swallowed his saliva once again. So there is another person who is going to join in. There are actually two handsome fellows who want to mess with me, my God. Buddha. Today, disciple is going to dirty your eyes, but disciple is not going to panic. Disciple will use all of my means to let the two benefactors obtain happiness from their souls. Chapter 1093. Yihua had no other choice. I am really tired today. Everything has become very complicated. This is the first time the heavens are going against me. Although Yihua was anxious to save his mother, he still maintained his rationality and did not impulsively kill Qing Su. Yihua helplessly let go of his emotions, then sighed lightly, walked to the side and smoked his cigarette silently. This caused Lai Gu and Dou Fusher to not know what happened. This was the first time they saw His Honor so depressed. For the invincible His Honor to actually reveal such an expression, this is simply too rare. In the past, this was simply impossible. Seeing that he was put down, Qing Su let out a sigh of relief. Buddha above, disciple was nearly humiliated by 3 shameless maniacs today. Luckily, Buddha appeared and allowed disciple to escape from such a great calamity. After surviving a great calamity, there will definitely be good fortune waiting for me. I have truly sinned, if it is possible, I would still like to experience it. Brother, come over. Seeing that His Honor was filled with worries, Lai Gu walked forward and asked respectfully, Your Honor, why are you here today? Something happened recently, and I am very annoyed. Yihua breathed out a mouthful of smoke. Subordinate is willing to solve Your Honor's problems. Your Honor, just tell me who it is. Lai Gu will go and kill him right now. There was nothing wrong with Lai Gu's loyalty. As long as Yihua said a word, Lai Gu would definitely be sent into the stew pot. Yihua sighed once again, then raised his head and looked at the sky at a 45 degrees angle. Lai Gu followed His Honor's gaze and looked at the sky. This angle, this posture, how pretentious. This matter is very troublesome. If this fellow doesn't wake up, my mother might be in danger. Yihua said gravely. Even Zhu Tian was helpless against this. In the entire good-looking team, other than Qing Su, Zhu Tian was the only one who was good-looking. Right now, Zhu Tian was at his wit's end and could only hope that Qing Su would wake up. Not only did he become fat, he also became bald, and not only did he become bald, he also became stupid. Seems like even the heavens are going to give me a difficult problem. You sure are arrogant. Do you believe that I won't poke a hole in your sky? Ah. Why is it like this all of a sudden? When subordinate left, wasn't he still fine? Lai Gu's expression changed, and his gaze was filled with concern. Don't look at how carefree Lai Gu is. When he is serious, he is still quite heartwarming. Ching Su didn't react at all when he heard this. His hands were clasped together, and his lips were moving. It was unknown whether he was chanting or secretly eating. It's a long story. See if there's any way to wake him up. Yihua said gravely. If this Ching Su isn't able to be taken care of in a short while, I can only think of other methods. Yes. Senior, hand it over to me, I will definitely wake this fellow up. Lai Gu said fiercely, then looked towards Ching Su with slanted eyes. Ching Su, who was currently reciting scriptures, secretly took a glance at Lai Gu's expression and coincidentally saw Lai Gu's expression. Frightened, Ching Su hurriedly closed his eyes. Damn you, you still haven't given up on that crazy idea. Buddha, it seems that I will still have to dirty your glasses. If I die on the way, you must take my soul in. If my soul is insulted by these villains, I will accept my fate. At worst, he would just die in happiness. Come on. I'm ready. You bunch of thugs, I will be in a lot of pain. After Yihua finished speaking, he disappeared. Meanwhile, Lai Gu slowly walked in front of Ching Su and said gravely, right now, you have two choices. First choice, remember your previous identity. Second choice. Let me beat you up until you remember your previous identity. Benefactor, where it is possible to let people off, one should spare them, why bother beating me up? Just directly beat me to death will do. Hearing Ching Su's indifferent tone, Lai Gu and Dou Fusher were simply about to explode. This damned fatty. If it is possible, I really want to directly beat him to death. Threatening to commit suicide with just a glance. Benefactors, I am hungry. Lai Gu, Dou Fusher, you are still thinking of eating. Go and eat shit. Dou Fusher immediately scolded. You only know how to eat all day long. However, Ching Su closed his eyes and said, Benefactors, food is the most important thing for people, who knows, I might remember the things that you two are talking about while eating? Hearing that, Lai Gu felt that what Ching Su said made sense. Little brother, go and buy them. Lai Gu said straightforwardly. Big brother, I have bought all of the chickens in this village. Are you stupid? Go and buy them from other places then. In any case, you must definitely buy them. Either you are stuffed to death, or you are going to remember the things that happened in the past. However, Ching Su said faintly, Benefactor, if you get angry, it will harm your body and mind, it will not be good for sexual intercourse. Lai Gu clenched his fist tightly. I really want to smash this pig head apart with a single punch. This damn pig is a scum. Why are you still not going? Yes. Dou Fusher immediately went to buy chickens from other places. Ching Su said with a slight smile, Benefactor, I am already prepared to offer my body to you. If you don't mind that it is dirty, then go ahead and do it. Changing the world. This is a big pervert. How can there be such a pervert like Ching Su in this world? Lai Gu felt like vomiting. Why don't you take a look at your face? Are you still a human? On the other side, Yihua returned to Wushu Empire. For the time being, he didn't go and look for Yi Juetian, and he also didn't go and look for Yi. Yihua sat in the palace's backyard and thought about what to do in the future. The main point is still my mother's illness. This is something that cannot be delayed. I have to think of a solution as soon as possible. However, what can I do right now? This is an unknown cause of illness. Unknown cause? Yihua immediately called Xian Yuqing over. Suddenly, he recalled something, mother's illness. Was it natural, or was it man-made? This is an important matter. If it is man-made, then there is definitely someone who poisoned her. Could it be that Huang Feidi? If not for that, back then, Huang Feidi would have thought that I had already died, and I wouldn't have any excuse to frame my mother. Huang Feidi's suspicion is not zero, but it is very small. Yishan? This biological father? The possibility is not high. Back then, this father still doted on his mother a lot. It is just that, in the merciless years, all that doting on his mother was used up. This made me think of a saying, a filial son who has been lying on a sickbed for a long time. Then, who could it be? Yi Hua, where did you go just now? Not only Qian Yuqing came over, Qingye and Dong Huang Baiji came over too. The two of them were accompanying their mother-in-law just now, and when they heard that Yi Hua came back, they hurriedly came over. Yi Hua said gravely, "This damned emperor. He has already destroyed the spiritual spring." Ah! The three women cried out in surprise. The spiritual spring is gone. This caused the three daughters-in-law's expression to change greatly, and they panicked. Is there any other way then? Qingye asked anxiously. In actuality, mother-in-law is very open-minded, but as juniors, we can only try our best to save the spiritual spring, regardless of the cost. End of this chapter. Chapter 1094. Yi Hua said gravely, "I was hoping for another subordinate of mine, but in the end, this subordinate of mine doesn't remember anything." He couldn't remember anything and had completely become an ordinary person. Right now, Lai Gu and Dou Fushi are looking at him. "Yi Hua, is this subordinate very powerful?" Dong Huang Baiji asked curiously. Of course, she knew that Yi Hua still had two subordinates who were wandering outside. Yi Hua said gravely, "This subordinate is quite knowledgeable in medical treatment, and I reckon that only he is able to cure this illness, but right now," sigh, Yi Hua let out a long sigh again, then took out a stick of cigarette and lit it. "Right now, I really don't have any clue at all." The three women remained silent. They really wanted to help, but they didn't know how to help. Especially Qingye and Dong Huang Baiji, they had been Yi Hua's wives for so long, but they didn't seem to be able to help at all. He made her look like a vase. She wasn't a vase, she was also a woman who could fight. "Yuqing," Yi Hua said slowly. Qian Yuqing hurriedly replied, "Yi Hua, what is it? Do you need me to do something? Try to recall, when mother had this illness, did anything else happen? For example, strangers coming to Yi family?" Yi Hua asked gravely. "If I know that this illness is caused by someone, I will definitely kill that person 100 times. I will grind that person's corpse in a meat grinder 10,000 times." Qian Yuqing said lightly, "Yi Hua, back then, I thought so too, but, during that period of time, mother locked herself in her room, and no one got close to her. Until one day, mother fainted, and then, she became like this." Yi Hua nodded his head. "Lovesickness turning into illness, this is the saying of this illness. But why don't I believe it? It's not that I don't believe that mother doesn't miss me. It's that I don't believe that missing someone can be infected with this kind of incurable illness that even I am helpless against. This is definitely what I believe. I can guarantee right now. This is definitely caused by someone. However, I asked mother before, and mother didn't know anything about it. Right now, even Qian Yuqing said the same thing. Seems like someone is secretly doing this. Just who is so cruel to make my mother like this, to have to rely on spiritual spring water to survive? Don't let me find you, otherwise, I will let you experience the despair of this world, despair that you can't even imagine." Right, when I went to look for Huang Feidi today, I discovered something interesting. Yi Hua said faintly. After that, he waved his hand. Qingye and the others looked on with puzzlement. A scene appeared in front of everyone's eyes. Yi Hua asked Huang Fei and Di if they were sent by you. Huang Feidi had a crazed look on his face as he said, "That's right. I'm the one who arranged this. I'm going to ruin your family. Just like me. I'll kill you." Hearing Huang Feidi admit to it, Qingye, Dong Huang Baiji, and Qian Yuqing couldn't help but cover their mouths. Yi was actually a spy sent by Huang Feidi. Qian Yuqing's expression was the worst. That day, Yi Hua had even asked me to go and probe Yi Hua, and in the end, I didn't manage to find out anything at all. In the end, I didn't expect that. Yi Hua was really a spy. Since that's the case, everything can be explained clearly now. Persecuting Yi Hua's mother, and also creating estrangement between Yi Hua and Yi Juetian, this emperor is indeed vicious. Yi Hua, I am sorry. It's all my fault. Qian Yuqing quickly admitted her mistake. Yi Hua shook his head. Yuqing, this isn't your fault. Even I, the Supreme Overlord, have misjudged this Yi. Qinya and Donghuang Baiji still didn't dare to believe that Yi was actually a spy. The matter that happened in the morning was still vivid in their minds. Could it be that Yi's expression was able to act out like that? If it was really possible, then this Yi's acting skills are simply off the charts. If it wasn't for Huang Feidi admitting to it himself, no one would have known about it. In actuality, Huang Feidi was still very smart. From the moment Yi Hua came to ask for the spiritual spring, he knew that something had happened. However, he didn't ask what it was. When Yi Hua said that it was a woman, Huang Feidi magnanimously took the blame. However, what he was thinking in his heart was that this woman wasn't sent by me at all. Since that's the case, there is a possibility that this woman is innocent. However, as long as I admit to it, even if she is innocent, I will still become a sinner. At that time, Prince Yi, you killed an innocent person. Will you feel heartache? For Huang Feidi to be able to become the emperor, his brain was very quick, and in an instant, he framed Yi Hua again. And right now, Yi Hua didn't notice anything at all. In fact, he even felt that Yi was sent by Huang Feidi. Surprised? Yi Hua said coldly. Donghuang Baiji wrinkled her brows and said, Yi Hua, can Huang Feidi's words be trusted? Humph. He already admitted to it. What else is there to say? Yi Hua shouted out gravely. In his heart, he already thought that Yi was a spy. He was already in a bad mood to begin with, and right now, he was even more so. Qinya also persuaded lightly, Yi Hua, this matter isn't that simple, don't let anger get to your head. What do you women know? Yi Hua slammed onto the table and disappeared from the stool. These women actually doubted my intelligence. Even the emperor admitted to it. Could it be that it's fake? Even if it's fake, I still need to bear all the responsibility. Although Yi Hua thought like this, he didn't rush to deal with Yi. This woman's schemes are rather deep, I still have to deal with Xiao Tian. However, Yi Hua still wanted to go and take a look at this woman. Take a look at how this woman is able to lie in front of me. I want to see for myself, this woman with explosive acting skills. Yi Hua arrived at the imperial prison, and the sound of his heavy footsteps caused Yi, who was in the iron cage, to go into a daze. A figure could be seen appearing from within the darkness, and joy could be seen on Yi's beautiful face as she tightly held onto the ice-cold iron rod. Yay! Yi couldn't help but shout out happily. Just by looking at the figure, one could tell that it was Ye. However, when Yi Hua walked out from the darkness, Yi's expression froze, and she couldn't help but take a step back. This isn't Ye, this is Ye's big brother. Emperor Yi Hua. Yi Hua looked at the change in Yi's expression and sneered in his heart. Now, you know fear. Are you afraid that I will find out your secret? Is that why you are revealing such an expression? My injuries heal very quickly. Yi Hua stood in front of the iron cage and asked faintly. His eyes were fixated onto Yi, and Yi didn't dare to look straight at Yi Hua at all. In Yi's heart, she felt that although Yi Hua and Yi Juetian looked exactly the same, their personalities were worlds apart. Ye was much better. As for Emperor Yi Hua, Yi didn't like him at all. Seeing that Yi wasn't speaking, Yi Hua sneered, not speaking, it must be Yi Juetian who sent you the medicine, right? Your Majesty, it wasn't Ye who sent the medicine, it was. Yi was just about to say that it was Gong Yu, but in the end, she still shut her mouth. Who? Yi Hua asked faintly. Could it be that this Yi is related to the person who poisoned me? There is this possibility. I have been busy for the entire day, and my head is hurting badly. I am sorry, brothers. I will try my best to make up for it tomorrow. End of this chapter. Chapter 1095. Right now, Yi Hua was able to link everything together. His mother's critical illness made Yi Hua unable to concentrate on thinking about the problem, and as long as there is even the slightest clue, he would become suspicious. Yi lowered her head and shook it. Your Majesty, I can't say who. Gong Yu had saved my life. How can I possibly tell anyone about Gong Yu? If I were to tell anyone about Gong Yu, I will definitely be beaten up by Emperor Yi Hua. Gong Yu is so good, I definitely cannot tell anyone about her. Yi Hua slowly walked forward, and Yi couldn't help but retreat. The black iron bars were completely unable to block Yi Hua's body, and Yi Hua directly passed through them. This point was extremely similar to Gong Yu. Why can't I tell you? Yi Hua closed in on Yi step by step, while Yi continuously retreated. The immense pressure from Yi Hua made Yi feel very uncomfortable until she had no more room to retreat. Yi Hua stood right in front of Yi and looked down at the spy. How could his acting be so good? If not for Huang Feidi admitting to it, I, the Supreme Overlord, would have been deceived by you. That lovely and pitiful look in your eyes, that look of having no resistance towards the supreme power, huh? You are a mother of king drama queen. Yi Hua held onto Yi's chin and raised Yi's head up. Speak. Who gave you the medicine? Yi Hua questioned coldly. Yi's gaze slowly turned resolute, and she said in a low voice, I won't say it. Yi Hua took a deep breath. Do you know? Those who resist me will never have a good ending. You will die. Even if I die, I won't say it. Yi's tone was filled with stubbornness, and there was also a trace of anger. Anger. For a girl as obedient as Yi, it was very rare for her to show such negative modesty. Even if she did, she would only act like a spoiled child in front of Yi Juetian. However, Yi was actually angry at Yi Hua. My God. What kind of courage does it take? Right now, Yi Hua was about to explode from anger. Then go and die for me. Yi Hua directly grabbed Yi's neck from her chin. Yi's feet gradually left the ground, and with both of her hands grabbing onto Yi Hua's wrist, Yi's face became bright red, and her legs began to struggle. Yi Hua really wanted to strangle this ant in front of him to death. You caused your own mother to run out of medicine. After that, you went to find Qing Su and turned into a damn fatty. Because of you, your relationship with Zhu Tian has also become subtle. You really are a very good spy. Although you can't cause me to suffer physical harm, you can still cause me to suffer mental harm. In this world, this was the only way to injure the deity. Huang Feidi, you're pretty king smart. Yi found it very difficult to breathe. Her brain became a little dizzy because of the lack of oxygen. Was she going to die soon? However, he couldn't bear to. He hadn't seen Ye's face yet. If only he could see Ye again. Suddenly, Yi felt her neck loosen, and her body fell to the ground. Fresh and humid air entered her body, and her mind immediately became much clearer. But what followed was a violent cough. Cough, cough, cough. Yi Hua stood in front of Yi. This woman won't let me die so easily. I am very curious, why does little Tian like you so much? Yi Hua slowly squatted down and looked at Yi's face. Disregarding everything else, this face was indeed extremely beautiful. There were very few women that could make Yi Hua say that they were beautiful, and Yi was one of them. From this, it could be seen that Yi was able to enter Yi Hua's eyes. Yi sat on the ground and gasped for breath. Her scattered hair caused Yi to look a little down and out, but it didn't affect her beauty in the slightest. No matter how a beautiful woman dresses up, an ugly woman would still be unable to conceal her inferiority complex. Yi Hua continued, if little Tian knew that the woman he likes actually doesn't like him, and everything is fake, what would happen? No, I like Ye, I won't allow you to spout nonsense. Speaking of this question, Yi became more domineering. This might be a stubbornness. It's fine to humiliate myself, but I can't humiliate my feelings. There were quite a number of people who scolded Yi Hua, and the ending of those scolded Yi Hua wasn't good. However, Yi was different. She clearly knew that Yi Hua was able to pinch her to death with a single hand, but she still said such disrespectful words. Don't you find it funny? Do you think that you can marry little Tian? Yi Hua asked coldly. Yi's expression became incomparably firm as she said, I like Ye, what's wrong with me marrying Ye? Because I don't agree to it. Yihua shouted out gravely. You want to marry me just because you said so? Do you think that it's that easy to enter my Yi family? Yi glared at Yihua angrily. She wasn't afraid at all, because this matter involved Ye. Yi Juetian seemed to be able to give Yi a lot of courage, and that courage allowed Yi to not be afraid of anything, not even afraid of this tyrant in front of her. You will agree to it, Yi said with certainty. Yihua smiled, then shook his head and said, You are very arrogant, and don't know the immensity of heaven and earth. In a few days, your Ye will marry another woman, and you can only live here. Yi bit her lips tightly and didn't say anything. Because Ye will only marry Gong Yu, but knowing that Ye's marriage is fake, Yi still didn't feel good in her heart. You can only live in this dark and gloomy prison, while he is enjoying a high position and wealth outside. Perhaps it is hard to part with him right now, but after a long time, who will still remember you? After Yihua finished speaking, his body gradually disappeared. Yi sat on the ground blankly. Just now, he said that after a long time, Ye will forget about my existence. Fake, it's definitely fake, Ye won't forget about me. Yi took out a mirror, hoping that Ye will be able to look for me right now. However, after waiting for a long time, Ye still didn't come. Leaning against the damp wall, Yi appeared to be a bit lonely. She hugged onto her legs tightly and curled up together, because that way, she might be able to feel a bit warmer. The sound of water dripping in the prison seemed to be so unique, seemingly telling Yi that in this lifetime, I will only be able to hear this sound of water dripping, lonely and heavy. After leaving the prison, Yihua arrived at Lu Jing's bedroom. You came, quickly sit and taste the tea that mother brewed. Lu Jing could be seen practicing the way of tea. Originally, Daji was teaching Lu Jing by the side, but right now, Daji was punished to face the wall and ponder over her mistakes. After Lu Jing finished brewing a cup of green lotus tea, Lu Jing smiled lightly. Yihua smiled lightly, then picked up the cup of green lotus tea and slowly closed his eyes to smell the tea. The fragrance of green lotus tea had the effect of clearing one's mind. Although it didn't have much of an effect on Yihua, it was still a pretty good fragrance. Yihua lightly took a sip of the green lotus tea, and the fragrance of the green lotus tea pervaded the mouth. His entire mouth was filled with a pleasant fragrance, and his taste buds were satisfied. Are you feeling better now? Lu Jing also took a sip of the green lotus tea and asked lightly. Lu Jing knew that her son had been extremely worried about her matter. Mother, aren't you angry in your heart? Yihua asked calmly. Why is it that when mother encounters this kind of matter, she actually doesn't have any bit of anger? End of this chapter. Chapter 1096. The corner of Lu Jing's mouth curved up. Yehua, what's there to be angry about? Mother knows about mother's illness. These medicines will be used up sooner or later. Right now, it's just that it's brought forward. Actually, being able to see you again, mother's heart is already satisfied. Even if I die, I can die in peace. I won't let you die. Yihua said resolutely, and his gaze was filled with resolution. Lu Jing lightly held onto her son's hand. Yehua, mother knows that you are in a bad mood, but Qinya and the others are concerned about you. You cannot vent your anger on the people who love you. This will make Qinya and the others feel uncomfortable. As a man, you must learn to be magnanimous. There is no need to lower yourself to the level of a girl. While speaking, Lu Jing herself started laughing. Perhaps Yihua was amused by his mother. Yihua laughed out. Mother, I understand. Yihua, you are much more sensible than before. Mother is very reassured. The only thing that I am worried about is your younger brother. Lu Jing took a deep breath, then exhaled. Mother, don't worry. When the time comes, I will arrange little Tian's marriage, and I will continue to think of ways to cure your illness. Patting on the back of her son's hand, Lu Jing said gently, Yehua, just live happily. Yihua nodded his head for the time being, then said, Mother, I will accompany you out for a walk. the sun is pretty good today. It's good to go out for a walk. Lu Jing stood up, and Yihua supported her by the side. The mother and son walked out of the bedroom. In the real northern Liang, only Wushu Empire's sky had a sun, and the other places were covered with snow and ice. After accompanying his mother, Yihua took out a drop of spiritual spring water and placed it inside a container, thinking about what kind of method he should use to get the spiritual spring water. Since Qing Su could not do it, they could only call Zhu Tian back. Although Zhu Tian's medical skills were inferior to Qing Su's, they could only give it a try. As long as there was a chance, they could not give up. Zhu Tian was currently traveling outside, and when he received Yihua's command, he hurriedly returned. He thought to himself that the holidays should be over. Zhu Tian, since there is no way to cure it, let's take a look at this spirit spring and see if there is anything else that can replace it. Yihua said faintly. There was no other way. They could only delay it until Qing Su woke up. Yes. Your Honor, but this subordinate cannot guarantee 100% of it. Zhu Tian did not have the confidence to do so. The main reason was that the illness was already very difficult to treat. A medicine that could delay the illness would definitely not be an ordinary item. Hence, Zhu Tian did not dare to guarantee anything. After all, in the team, giving a guarantee was equivalent to giving a military order, and if it couldn't be achieved, then they would have to. Yihua also knew the difficulty of this matter and nodded his head. When Yihua saw that Zhu Tian had left to do something, a bit of hope ignited in Yihua's heart. Right now, he should also go and see Yi Juetian. That idiot, he was actually infatuated by a woman to the point of his soul being smitten. He was confused by a spy in the northeast. When he arrived at Yi Juetian's sleeping quarters, just as he walked in, he heard the palace maids shouting, "Long live the emperor!" Yihua waved his hand and walked towards the main entrance. However, just as he reached the top of the stairs, Yi Juetian and Gong Yu appeared. Big brother. Yi Juetian stood at the front and greeted respectfully. Gong Yu, who was standing behind Yi Juetian, also shouted, "Big brother." He could accept Gong Yu calling him big brother. After all, the two of them were about to get married. Yihua nodded his head and walked into the house. Yi Juetian glanced at Gong Yu, and the latter signaled him not to be nervous, that everything would be fine. Right now, Yi Juetian was a bit afraid of Yihua. I'm afraid that big brother might kill the woman that I like due to his unstable emotions. If that's the case, the relationship between me and big brother, Gong Yu obediently poured a glass of water from the side. Big brother, drink some water. Yihua took the water and took a sip. Soon after, he placed the water beside his hand and said, I just went to meet Huang Feidi. Is there still spirit spring water over there? Yi Juetian hurriedly asked. After hearing that, Yihua laughed lightly. Xiao Tian, you still know how to care about your mother. Yi Juetian lowered his head in silence. The spirit spring is gone. Hearing his big brother's words, Yi Juetian's face became a bit pale. No spiritual spring, that means, little Tian. Yihua called out lightly. Towards this younger brother of his, Yihua's heart was broken. What about Gong Yu? What a face. They had to have a good figure, big breasts and perky buttocks, be obedient, and be strong. She had good qualities in all aspects and was proficient in the 4 arts. What was wrong with such a woman? Why did he have to fall in love with a spy? Are you trying to piss me off on the road? If my 2 sons are like this in the future, I will hang them up and give them a good beating. Big brother, what's the matter? Yi Juetian raised his head and asked. Yihua directly waved his hand, and the conversation he had with Huang Feidi appeared. Yi Juetian and Gong Yu saw and heard the conversation. The two of them were very astonished. Gong Yu was astonished because this Yi was actually sent by someone else. Yi Juetian was astonished because this Yi was actually sent by Huang Feidi. This is completely impossible. Impossible, this is definitely impossible. Yi isn't that kind of person. Yihua silently took out a stick of cigarette and lit it up. This Huang Feiди is very smart, even I have misjudged him. Only an ordinary person would be able to reach such a realm, and no one would be able to discover him. This is what is so brilliant about him. Yi Hua said gravely. Using an ordinary person as a spy, this idea is quite feasible. Yi Juetian wasn't willing to believe it. How could he be a spy? He is so innocent and kind, could it be that a spy is like this? Yi Hua extinguished the cigarette, then said, Xiao Tian, lying is just the beginning. Look at everything that happened today. Look at everything that happened today, you will discover that this Yi isn't simple. After finished speaking, Yi Hua disappeared. Yi Hua couldn't force Yi Juetian to make a choice, Yi Juetian would have to rely on himself. Of course, there is also that Gong Yu, whether or not you can obtain Ju Tian will depend on your own capabilities. After Yi Hua left, Yi Juetian sat on the jadewood chair in a daze. His mind was filled with Huang Feidi's words and everything about Yi. Could it be that everything that Yi did was fake? This is impossible, how can that kind of feeling be fake? However, even Huang Feidi himself admitted it. Gong Yu, are you saying that Yi is a spy? Yi Juetian muttered. Gong Yu naturally wouldn't directly say that Yi was a spy, and she said lightly, Juetian, this matter still needs to be investigated first. However, I believe that Yi is being wrongly accused. That's right. Yi is being wrongly accused, I want to go and clarify things with Yi face to face. You can't go right now, use a mirror. Gong Yu reminded. In actuality, Yi Juetian wanted to see Yi more. Yi, who was in the imperial prison, quickly received the news. After seeing Yi again, Yi's mood became much better. As expected, Emperor Yi Hua was a liar, how could Yi possibly forget about me? Yi Juetian shouted out. Yi, what is it? Yi had a smile on her face, and it was the kind of smile that was used to comfort people, telling Yi Juetian not to worry about her. End of this chapter. Chapter 1097. This sort of one-sided sacrifice was actually quite tiring. Yi had sacrificed a lot, and even when she was bullied, she did not dare to tell Yi Juetian. She also did not dare to tell Yi Juetian about the bitterness in her heart, as she was afraid that Yi Juetian would be annoyed by her. Yi Juetian wanted to question him, but he couldn't bring himself to do so. Because once he asked, the relationship would change. He should believe in Yi and not have any doubts. But would Big Brother lie to her? It was obvious that he wouldn't use such a thing to lie to him. Yi, why aren't you saying anything? Yi looked at Yi Juetian's expression and felt a bit nervous, afraid that she would hear bad news. Yi Juetian squeezed out a smile, it's nothing much, I just wanted to take a look. The main thing is that I missed you too much. Hearing this, Yi blushed. You're so annoying. You only know how to say such sweet nothings. Does Yi like it? Yi nodded shyly, but warned, but don't tell anyone else. Yes, only for my Yi to hear. Yi Juetian chose to believe in Yi. Yi was not a spy, and spies would not look like this. It seemed like Yi Juetian was judging spies based on their looks. How awesome. Gong Yu didn't feel good, but she didn't say anything. At this time, Yi Hua returned to his bedroom and thought to himself, what mother said is right, I mustn't vent my temper on my wife, this will only make the person who loves me sad. In the morning, he even roared at Qinya. At that time, he was truly angered to the point of bursting. Just a while ago, I even roared at everyone, and I am about to explode from anger. Today is a day of anger, and I have to record it down. When Yi Hua returned to his bedroom, he didn't see his 3 wives. I reckon that the 3 wives are angry and are hiding from me. Forget it, forget it. Since I'm in a bad mood, I'll settle it with cigarettes and alcohol. Men were so simple. Lonely smoke accompanied them, lonely wine accompanied them. Of course, drinking couldn't trigger it, or else it would lose its value. After preparing a pile of peanuts, Yi Hua sat in the red pavilion outside while silently drinking wine and peeling peanuts. But his brain was thinking about other things. However, as he drank one glass after another, his mind became muddled. This was the feeling he wanted, the feeling of dizziness. At this moment, Qinya, Donghuang Baiji, and Xian Yuqing walked over while carrying the dishes. When they saw that Yi Hua was actually sitting on the table and drinking wine, they were slightly startled. He was actually drinking wine in broad daylight. It was really amazing. The three wives walked towards Yi Hua and placed the dishes on the stone table. The three wives discovered that the smell of alcohol on Yi Hua's body was very strong. Looking at the jar of wine that was at the side, Yi Hua actually drank all of it. Yi Hua, are you all right? Qinya asked with concern. While Yi Hua was still in a daze, he heard someone calling him, and a very nice-smelling woman's fragrance also entered his nose. Immediately, he felt restless. He raised his head and said, "What a beautiful woman." Hearing Yi Hua actually praising me, Qinya was a bit stupefied. This man actually praised me for being beautiful. Sure enough, he only boasted when he was drunk. Other than that, he didn't know how to talk at all. In a daze, Yi Hua looked towards Donghuang Baiji and revealed out a strange smile. Stretching out his hand, he lifted Donghuang Baiji's chin and said, "Beauty, what is your name?" Donghuang Baiji's head is aching. He actually doesn't recognize me anymore? Just how drunk is he? Yi Hua then looked towards Qian Yuqing, and the latter immediately shrunk back and revealed a look of fear. He was a man, after all. He loved to see this timid little bunny. It was especially refreshing to bully her. "Beauty, do you want a lighter?" Qinya and Donghuang Baiji immediately became speechless. "Yuqing is your wife. If you want to sleep with me, then go ahead and sleep with me." However, Qian Yuqing didn't understand the meaning of Yi Hua's words. Since Yi Hua asked, I will just nod my head. Yi Hua liked this kind of beauty. He immediately carried Qian Yuqing into his embrace and kissed her. This caused Qian Yuqing to panic. Just what is Yi Hua doing? His hand is already inside. This is outside. Qinya and Donghuang Baiji rolled their eyes. Just what is this? Is he doing this to another woman in front of his wife? Where are we going to put our faces? Can we even have a proper conversation? Don't do it here, go inside the house and do it. Qinya didn't even want to look anymore. Look at this Yuqing, she is already feeling something from Yi Hua and is even cooperating with him. Yi Hua seemed to have understood Qinya's words, and he immediately disappeared from the spot while carrying Qian Yuqing. Sigh, yet another innocent girl turned into a woman. Qinya sighed. Meanwhile, Donghuang Baiji said, "How long do you think Yuqing can last for?" "That will have to depend on how well Yi Hua performs. Back then, didn't we suffer very miserably?" Qinya giggled. Thinking back to the second floor of that small bar, it was filled with memories. Right now, it feels like I am on vacation, and the place I stayed in was a fast food hotel. I feel that I have to go back to that small bar in the future. That small bar is where my warm home is. Although that small bar is not big, it is very warm. Donghuang Baiji pouted her mouth. I will never forget that lousy bar in my entire life. That's right, we lost our virginity in that lousy bar. Qinya laughed, and soon after, the two beauties laughed. That lousy bar is pretty good. I suddenly miss my children a bit, especially Ali. I wonder if she is still messing around. Yi Hua was indeed enjoying Qian Yuqing's body, not letting go of any inch of her skin. A layer of bright red appeared on Qian Yuqing's skin, and a faint fragrance was even emitting out from Qian Yuqing's body. Yi Hua was very greedy. Along with a moan, Qian Yuqing finally became Yi Hua's woman as she wished. Tears of joy even flowed out from her eyes. However, in the following period of time, the tears were no longer tears of joy, instead, they were tears of pain. This Yi Hua is not a human, save me. Qinya and Donghuang Baiji sat down and played cards. Donghuang Baiji said lightly, seems like we overestimated Yuqing, to think that she would cry for help so quickly. That's right, I thought that she would be able to hold on for another half an hour. Qinya pouted. I definitely won't go and save someone. This is the first lesson that I have to learn, and everyone has already experienced it before. Therefore, I still have to endure it myself. Furthermore, this is just the beginning, Yi Hua is still just the appetizer. Qinya immediately added a soundproof barrier to the bedroom to prevent Yuqing's scream from being heard by others. If that were to happen, it would be very awkward. What did you play just now? God explode. Oh, 119. Qinya threw out 3 cards. Donghuang Baiji laughed, then directly threw out 3 cards, 333. Qinya was very puzzled. What kind of new trick is this? This is Blazing Mountain. Qinya went into a daze for a moment, then shouted out, 6666. From the looks of it, the 2 women's card skills were also inherited by Yi Hua. Furthermore, Yuqing's scream for help never stopped. Sometimes, Yuqing would appear to be on the verge of death, but then, she would immediately return to normal. Qinya and Donghuang Baiji had deeply experienced this kind of feeling. Back then, they were played by Yi Hua for an entire night, and that kind of feeling felt as if their souls were about to explode. Inside Yi Juetian's bedroom. End of this chapter. Chapter 1098. Juetian, it's about time, you're going to get drunk. Gong Yu reminded him softly, but her hands didn't stop pouring wine into his mouth. Yi Juetian was very depressed today, so depressed that he wanted to drink to numb himself. Because he didn't know who to believe. On one side was his own big brother, on the other was his most beloved woman. They were both important people in his life. Why did he have to choose? Could it be that they couldn't be together properly? Thinking about this, Yi Juetian felt annoyed. He raised his head and drank, and he didn't even urge it. After all, he wouldn't feel drunk if he did. How could he drink? Gong Yu, who do you think I should believe? Yi Juetian placed his hand on Gong Yu's shoulder and asked drunkenly. Gong Yu's heart tightened, and she said softly, Juetian, do you believe me? Of course I do. If you don't believe me, who do you believe? Yi Juetian said drunkenly. Gong Yu gently held Yi Juetian's hand and said softly, Juetian, if it was me, I would believe in family because family wouldn't harm you. Hearing that, Yi Juetian was startled, and then he revealed a drunken smile. That's right, family wouldn't lie to me. Could it be that Yi is lying to me? Juetian, Yi might not be lying to you either. Gong Yu slowly got closer to Yi Juetian and lightly leaned on his shoulder, and then continued to pour wine for him. Yi Juetian was also very confused, and he smiled. Then who is it? Is the heavens lying to me? Juetian, you're drunk. Gong Yu said softly. No. Then look at who I am. Gong Yu raised her head and looked at Yi Juetian. At the same time, Yi Juetian also lowered his head and looked at Gong Yu. Men and women had a natural attraction, especially when they were drunk. Let alone a goddess like Gong Yu. In Gong Yu's world, everyone wanted to kneel and lick her toes. Yi Juetian looked at the face in front of him, and felt that it was so beautiful. That pair of big eyes, that pretty nose, that slightly red cheeks, especially those 2 red lips, it felt like he could taste them. Once this thought appeared, Yi Juetian's brain was controlled by alcohol, and he immediately kissed her. Gong Yu was stunned. She didn't expect that before she even started seducing him, Yi Juetian couldn't take it anymore. It was her first time being like this with a man, so she was a little unfamiliar with it. Although it wasn't Yi Juetian's first time, it was still his second time. However, Gong Yu would not let go of such an opportunity. She wrapped her lotus-like arms around Yi Juetian's neck, making it easier for Yi Juetian to touch her body. That's right, Yi Juetian was caressing Gong Yu's body in a sweeping manner. Originally, his hands were only placed on Gong Yu's back, but unknowingly, they were placed on her well-developed buttocks. Although they were separated by her clothes, he could still feel that elasticity. As expected of a powerful woman, she was flexible. However, this kind of caressing was not enough to satisfy the drunk Yi Juetian. He started to lift up Gong Yu's dress and touch her snow-white jade legs. That delicate skin, the rich texture, it was really enchanting. As for Gong Yu, after being stroked by Yi Juetian like this, she started to feel something. She sat on Yi Juetian's legs. Yi Juetian was originally kissing her fragrant lips, but he had unknowingly kissed her jade-like neck. The neck was the most sensitive part of a girl, and Gong Yu had never experienced such a feeling before. She instantly let out a happy moan. The palace maid outside immediately heard it, and her face became slightly red. Something good happened today. The warm-up inside continued, and Yi Juetian's hands had already reached into Gong Yu's clothes, while Gong Yu raised her head, enjoying this passionate moment. Juetian, I want, Gong Yu sweetly shouted. This was simply no less than an atomic bomb exploding, and it instantly exploded in Yi Juetian's brain. Mixed with the alcohol, it created a substance called super hormone, causing Yi Juetian to go crazy. He directly carried Gong Yu up, but right now, Gong Yu had already been stripped naked by Yi Juetian and was completely exposed to the air. This kind of figure was really too beautiful, and any normal man would want to do it, let alone a drunk Yi Juetian. Yi Juetian very domineeringly placed Gong Yu on the bed, and Gong Yu got her wish to sleep on this bed. It was really comfortable, especially when she was being pressed down by the man she liked. However, there was still one more thing that she had to do. Gong Yu's gaze became slightly sober. However, Gong Yu directly raised her head and sealed Yi Juetian's mouth, then helped Yi Juetian take off his clothes, and conveniently placed the mirror in her hands. Yi Juetian's eyes were closed, and Gong Yu's eyes were originally closed, but right now, she had no choice but to open her eyes and properly adjust the angle of the mirror. After everything was done, Yi Juetian completely immersed himself in it, appearing especially crazy. However, right now, Gong Yu needed to take the final step, and what was going to happen next would completely deal a blow to Yi. Gong Yu was very curious, would Yi's fragile heart be crushed just like this? Juetian, who is the woman you like the most? Gong Yu quickly asked. Yi. Yi Juetian subconsciously replied, but he didn't think too much about it, and was currently kissing every inch of Gong Yu's skin. However, at this moment, inside the prison, Yi heard Yi Juetian's call and immediately took out the mirror. However, the scene today is a bit off. Yi rubbed her eyes. What is Yi doing? Why is he kissing a woman, and the kind where he kisses all over her body? Yi didn't react in time, but when she saw that the woman was Gong Yu, Yi couldn't help but cover her mouth in disbelief. Juetian, we can't do this. At this moment, Gong Yu suddenly started struggling. However, Yi Juetian, who was drunk, became very violent, and he fiercely pressed onto Gong Yu's wrist with both of his hands and continued to take advantage of her. Gong Yu squeezed out her tears and shouted while crying, Juetian, don't do this, you will let Yi down. Yi looked at this scene, listened to this kind of words, and also that disdainful look on Yi's face. Is this still the Yi that I know? Gong Yu's face was already filled with tears, fully acting out the expression of a woman who was violated. Juetian, I beg you, don't do this, what do you want Yi to do? Gong Yu shouted while crying. Yi Juetian's face sunk, seemingly not willing to hear Yi's name. Following Gong Yu's cry of pain, Yi's face was already filled with tears. Yi's cheeks were already streaming with tears. Yay, how could you do such a thing? Gong Yu treated us so well, yet you violated her. Can you still be considered a man? Is this still the Yi that I know? This is simply like the Emperor Yi Hua. Yi couldn't continue looking at this scene anymore and closed the mirror. Meanwhile, Gong Yu, who was on the bed, secretly placed the mirror under her pillow, then revealed a smile on the corner of her mouth as she hugged onto Yi Juetian and gave him a kiss. End of this chapter. Chapter 1099. However, this seemed to be a type of encouraging kiss, causing Yi Juetian to become even more excited. His movements became even more exaggerated, and his speed also caught up to the rhythm. Gong Yu finally experienced what it felt like to be a woman. It felt so good. Comfortable. Also, this feeling of being conquered feels so good. Only a man like this can conquer me, Gong Yu. Tonight was destined to be a sleepless night. Yi Hua and Yi Juetian, these two brothers, made two young girls step into the ranks of young married women in a single night. However, it had to be said that the two Yi brothers were very powerful. They fought until dawn. Qingye and Donghuang Baiji woke up very early, and they prepared to go and see the newly married Yuqing. They cried for help for an entire night. It was truly a tragic sight. They only quieted down at dawn. As a result, he didn't sleep well. The two women pushed open the door of the bedroom and quietly walked to the big bed at the back. Yihua could be seen lying comfortably on the bed. Where did Yuqing go? Qingye and Donghuang Baiji were both stupefied. He couldn't have run away, right? Suddenly, a hand grabbed onto Qingye's arm, startling Qingye. F*ck me. It turned out that Qian Yuqing was hiding under the blanket, not daring to come out. Qingye, save me. I am going to die. Qian Yuqing was about to cry. Donghuang Baiji pouted her mouth and said faintly, if you feel good, then feel good. Don't act pitiful. I can't even deceive you guys. It's boring. Just as Qian Yuqing finished speaking, he felt his entire body being carried. Yihua could be seen waking up. Qian Yuqing was scared out of her wits, and she cried out in surprise, Yihua, why are you awake? Yihua said in a low voice, Yuqing, regarding what happened last night, I'm very sorry. I got drunk. Qian Yuqing heaved a sigh of relief. I see. It's fine. I don't blame you. It's good that you don't blame me, but what I want to say is, I didn't feel anything at all last night, so, you know what I mean. Qian Yuqing was stunned for a moment. Then, she ran for her life. However, Yihua's speed became even faster, and he directly pressed Qian Yuqing onto his body. Save me, save me. Qian Yuqing stretched out her hand towards Qingye and Donghuang Baiji. Qingye and Donghuang Baiji pursed their lips. Just now, I don't know who was the one who said that it felt great. Yihua really didn't know what happened last night. I got drunk last night, and I don't even know what I was doing last night. That's why Qian Yuqing, a virgin, didn't even feel the thrill. It was a huge loss. That was why it was said that drinking made things worse. Qian Yuqing was something that the main body had spent a lot of brain cells to get. Originally, he wanted to use a special method on a special day. No. Yesterday was indeed a special day, and a special method was used. F*ck me. Yesterday was the darkest day of my life. Yihua, don't, can you let me rest for a few days? Qian Yuqing pleaded for leniency. She was truly scared. This was simply like a bull, running on the path of life with no regard for its own life. It was extremely terrifying. Yihua didn't pay attention to Qingye and Donghuang Baiji. Yihua turned his head around and looked towards Qingye and Donghuang Baiji. If you want to stay behind, you can come with us. Qingye and Donghuang Baiji pouted their mouths. You two can slowly play. Yihua, don't break Yuqing. After finished speaking, Qingye and Donghuang Baiji left. Of course, Yihua wouldn't let Qingye and Donghuang Baiji stay. After all, they were the prey that he had taken down with great difficulty. Yuqing. Yihua stroked Qian Yuqing's hair. Qian Yuqing revealed out a wronged expression, as if she was being abused by Yihua. That pitiful look of hers really made one feel pity for her. Yuqing, what's with that expression of yours? Yihua, I beg of you, woo, what else could Qian Yuqing do? She could only plead for leniency. Yihua took a deep breath, then revealed out a look of understanding. All right, since Yuqing is pleading for leniency, as a husband, I should agree to it. Yihua is the best. Qian Yuqing was delighted. But, along with the word Yihua, Qian Yuqing's expression became bitter. There's actually a but behind the word. Yihua could be seen whispering into Qian Yuqing's ear, let me experience it once more. Qian Yuqing bit onto her lips. If it's just once, I can still accept it. Is it really just once? Qian Yuqing asked sincerely. Yihua revealed out a smile, I never lie. Yi Hua, I believe you. Then, let us begin. Yet another little sheep believed the words of the big bad wolf. One can believe anything, but one must not believe this mouth of Yi Hua's. However, after this bloody lesson, Qian Yuqing would never fall for Yi Hua's tricks again. Qingye and Donghuang Baiji already knew of Yi Hua's character. On the bed, out of 10 sentences that Yi Hua said, 9 would be lies, and 1 would be even more lies. However, inside Yi Juetian's bedroom, this was probably the situation that Yi Juetian did not want to see the most. Right now, Yi Juetian was rubbing his temples. His head was very painful and very heavy, and he was also very thirsty. Just what happened yesterday? I seem to have been drinking, and I don't know what happened after drinking. Yi Juetian let out a breath. I feel that my body is a bit different. I have never felt this kind of feeling before. It is that kind of feeling where flesh and flesh are touching each other. This caused Yi Juetian to swallow his saliva, then lower his head to take a look. This is a head full of beautiful hair, and Gong Yu is actually lying on my shoulder. How is this possible? This is impossible. Yi Juetian slowly opened up the blanket, and when he saw the scene inside, Yi Juetian's face did not have any redness, and was instead pale. It's over, Yi Juetian felt a splitting headache. Why did he do that to Gong Yu? Why can't I remember anything yesterday? Gong Yu let out a gentle sound that was very pleasant to the ears. She even found a comfortable spot to sleep. This was probably the happiest night of Gong Yu's life. Yi Juetian was in despair. How was he going to explain this to Yi? There was no way to explain it. He had done something wrong to her. Does Big Brother have any experience in this area? If Yi Hua was the one teaching, there was no need to think too much about it, and he would be able to summarize it with a single word. Lie. I can add one more word, and that is act. Thinking back to back then, I, the Supreme Overlord, and my 2 wives were always at odds with each other. Back then, I, the Supreme Overlord, and my 2 wives were always at odds with each other. Back then, I, the Supreme Overlord, and my 2 wives still don't know about it. If they knew about it, I, the Supreme Overlord, would definitely die. In fact, Gong Yu had already woken up. She just wanted to lie down a little longer because she wouldn't be able to lie down anymore. After all, what happened yesterday would definitely not happen again. After an unknown period of time, Gong Yu slowly opened her eyes, and their gazes met. Sorry. Sorry. The 2 of them spoke in unison. Yi Juetian and Gong Yu both went into a daze for a moment. Yi Juetian's apology was definitely directed towards what happened yesterday, while Gong Yu's apology was actually to express that she did not reject Yi Juetian's apology. The atmosphere was a bit awkward. End of this chapter. Chapter 1100. Ju Tian, don't worry. I won't tell Yi about this. Just pretend that nothing happened between us. Gong Yu took the initiative to say. She hoped to use such a shameful method to make absolute heaven have feelings for her. Who knows, maybe, in order to be responsible, absolute heaven would submit to her. However, Gong Yu had underestimated Yi Juetian. Really? Yi Ju Tian cried out in surprise. Gong Yu was speechless. This Yi Juetian. You did that to me last night, how could I pretend nothing happened? He actually agreed to her words. Don't tell me you like that Yi that much. What's so good about that woman? Isn't she just an ordinary person? I've already sacrificed myself for her. Don't tell me you don't want to take responsibility for it. Do you know how many men want me? Gong Yu smiled bitterly, it's true. Looking at Gong Yu's expression, Yi Juetian was also very regretful. Why did he do such a thing last night and tarnish Gong Yu? If Yi knew about this, she would definitely not forgive him. I'm sorry, I'm really sorry. Yi Juetian apologized sincerely. This was all his fault, and he couldn't blame anyone else. Gong Yu revealed a desolate expression and said indifferently, "It's nothing. It's not a big deal." After saying that, he stood up, put on the clothes that had fallen to the side, walked back to his room, and closed the door. Although Gong Yu had guessed this result, it was still hard for her to accept it when it really happened. After all, she was also a girl and hoped to be loved by a man. However, at such an important moment, there was no comfort at all. Yi Juetian didn't feel too good either. Looking at Gong Yu's miserable back view, he felt that he had let her down. Gong Yu had helped him so much, yet he had done such a despicable thing. He felt really guilty. After taking a deep breath, Yi Juetian foolishly sat on his bed. He wanted to solve this problem, but no matter how he thought about it, he found that he couldn't solve this problem. Since it had already happened, could it be possible to turn back time? After putting on his clothes, Yi Juetian froze for a moment. Where was the mirror? He immediately searched the bed and finally found it under the pillow. He heaved a sigh of relief. He thought he had lost it. That would be troublesome. Looking at the mirror in his hand, Yi Juetian really wanted to call out Yi's name. However, after what he had done yesterday, how could he have the face to call out Yi's name? Even if he did, how was he going to explain this to Yi? Tell the truth? Or was it a lie? Yi Juetian simply couldn't imagine the outcome of these two scenarios. Yi had sacrificed so much for me, but Yi Juetian held his head in his hands, feeling extremely uncomfortable. He regretted it so much. Drinking made things worse. However, Yi, who was in the heavenly prison, seemed to be waiting for Yi Juetian to explain what had happened yesterday. But after waiting for a long time, Ye didn't come looking for him. Why? Does Ye not want me anymore? Impossible. However, the things that happened yesterday are still vivid in my mind. Ye had defiled Gong Yu, and Gong Yu was resisting. Just as Yi was waiting, she suddenly heard a sobbing sound. Yi stood up and saw that Gong Yu had arrived. There were traces of tears on her pretty face, and she was sobbing softly. Yi. Gong Yu directly passed through the iron pole and threw herself into Yi's embrace while crying bitterly. Yi was taken aback. There was disappointment on her face, but she still gently stroked Gong Yu's back, as if this could comfort Gong Yu. Don't cry. Yi was feeling pain in her heart. The person that she liked actually did such a thing last night, and Gong Yu was actually crying in front of her. Gong Yu was indeed crying, and she felt very wronged. Therefore, her crying was real, but Gong Yu didn't want to waste her tears. Even if she was going to cry, she had to cry with value. Therefore, she ran into the heavenly prison and cried in front of Yi. After a long while, Gong Yu finally calmed down. It's fine now. Gong Yu said in a low voice. Yi didn't know what to say. Gong Yu shouldn't know that I saw something that I shouldn't have seen last night, right? Gong Yu, actually, I saw everything that happened last night. Yi couldn't help but say. When Yi said that, Yi felt as if her heart was going to split apart. Gong Yu revealed out an astonished expression. She is also a great actress. With an incomparably astonished expression, she said, Yi, what did you see? Gong Yu asked this intentionally, wanting to tear open Yi's scars. It was as if she was reminding Yi that while I was having fun with Yi Juetian yesterday, you, Yi, could only stay in this ice-cold and damp heavenly prison. Following Gong Yu's question, that dirty scene automatically jumped out from Yi's mind, and said gravely, I saw everything that happened between you and Ye yesterday through the mirror. What? Yi, don't misunderstand, Ju Tian, it was me who seduced Ju Tian, don't blame Ju Tian, it is all my fault. After finished speaking, Gong Yu even gave herself a slap. Yi was stupefied, and hurriedly pulled onto Gong Yu, I saw everything, it was Ye who forced you. Gong Yu went into a daze, and soon after, 2 streams of tears flowed out from her eyes, and she once again threw herself into Yi's embrace and cried bitterly. She was simply playing the role of a victim to the fullest, and furthermore, she was even that kind of perfect victim, yet she still wanted to hide a secret. Yi, I'm sorry. Gong Yu said while crying bitterly. Gong Yu, you didn't let me down, it was Ye who let you down. Yi said helplessly. Last night, she didn't even sleep at all, and had been thinking about this problem the entire time. Could it be that I have to choose to forgive Ye? Would I? Yi didn't know if I would, and she felt very uncomfortable in her heart. She really hoped that there would be someone who could come and enlighten her. However, right now, I am still comforting others. Who is going to comfort me? Don't you all know that I am the one who is feeling the most uncomfortable? Gong Yu wiped away the tears that were at the corner of her eyes, then said in a low voice, Don't blame Ju Tian, men are like this sometimes, they won't be able to hold themselves back. Don't take it to heart, Ju Tian still likes you. Hearing what Yi said, Yi felt even more uncomfortable. I don't have any friends in this palace. I only have you as my friend. Gong Yu said pitifully. Her acting skills were definitely top-notch. Yi suddenly discovered that Gong Yu was very similar to herself. I don't have any friends in this palace, and I was even looked down upon by everyone and mocked by everyone. Only Gong Yu didn't despise me, and Gong Yu was also the only person who treated me well in this palace. Yi was very touched. I only have you as my friend. Yi said lightly, and soon after, she let out a breath. Right at this moment, Yi's mirror rang, and Yi Juetian's voice could be heard. Gong Yu's expression changed. Don't tell Ju Tian that I'm here, I'm scared that Gong Yu could be seen to have a look of fear on her face, as if she was going to be beaten up by Yi Juetian. End of this chapter. Chapter 1101. Seeing Gong Yu like this, Yi couldn't help but feel a little angry. How could Ye bully others like this? You've ruined someone else's innocence. Did he want others to not tell him? Yi took out a mirror, and Yi Juetian was currently smiling, as if nothing had happened. This made Yi very angry. You bullied Gong Yu, and you can still laugh. Don't you feel guilty at all? Yi Juetian thought for a long time and decided not to say it for the time being. When he calmed down one day, he would come clean with Yi and try to get Yi's understanding. However, Yi Juetian was completely unaware that at this moment, Gong Yu had already gone to find Yi to complain about her troubles, making Yi Juetian into a heartless man. Gong Yu stood at the side and sneaked a peek. Seeing that Yi Juetian actually revealed a smile, she felt very happy in her heart. Absolute heaven, if you lie to Yi now, the consequences will be very serious. At that time, Yi will dump you. But it doesn't matter. Who asked me, Gong Yu, to like you so much? Yi doesn't want you, but I, Gong Yu, want you. So, absolute heaven, you have to treat me better in the future. What's wrong? Yi Juetian noticed that Yi's expression was very strange and asked in a deep voice. Yi pulled a long face and was very unhappy. Could it be that Ye was planning to hide this matter? Are you trying to lie to yourself? How could you do this? You clearly said before that there are no secrets between us. How long has it been, and he's already prepared to lie to me? Yi squeezed out a smile. It's nothing, Ye, do you have something to tell me? Yi had decided on one thing. If Yi was honest this time and apologized to Gong Yu, then she would forgive him. But if he was still stubborn, then she would ignore him. Yi Juetian really wanted to say what happened last night, but when he saw Yi, he was afraid that if he said it, he would lose Yi. This conflicted feeling gave Yi Juetian a headache. I just miss you. Hearing Yi Juetian's words, Yi was a bit disappointed, while Gong Yu, who was at the side, was quite happy. Keep lying, and Yi will give up. However, Yi still planned to give Yi Juetian one last chance. Ye, did you sleep well last night? Yi asked with a smile. Ye, don't lie to me anymore, please. Yi Juetian's heart sank. Did he sleep well last night? He didn't even know what happened last night. Did you sleep well last night? Don't worry, I will think of all ways to save you. Just bear with it for a few more days. Yi Juetian used a way to change the topic. Not to mention, Yi Hua would also use this move sometimes. This move of changing the topic was indeed very useful. Seems like this is also inherited in the family. Yi Hua is like this, and even Yi Juetian is like this. Right now, Yi Juetian is also starting to lie to his wife. There is basically no need to teach him at all. Hearing Yi Juetian's words, Yi's heart was completely shattered. Why did he have to hide such a big thing from her? Don't tell me you don't trust me? Yi Juetian was too afraid of losing her, which was why he acted like this. After all, he cared too much about her. I'm tired. I don't want to talk anymore. Yi said softly. She directly kept the mirror. Her heart ached. Seeing that the mirror had darkened, Yi Juetian noticed that Yi was different. However, he did not know why this was the case. There was a strange feeling in his heart. Why did Yi say that she was tired? In the past, even if they chatted until late at night, she would still be energetic. If not for him asking Yi to sleep, she would not have gone to sleep. And today, Yi actually took the initiative to say that she wanted to go to sleep. Could it be that Yi is blaming me? However, she was still fine yesterday. Why did this happen? Yi Juetian was unable to understand. In the imperial prison, Gong Yu was the happiest, especially when she saw the two of them quarreling. She had profited greatly. Yi, don't be too angry. Gong Yu said gently and patted on Yi's shoulder. Yi said tenderly, Gong Yu, I apologize to you on behalf of Ye. In actuality, from these words, it could be seen that Yi seemed to still be willing to give Yi Juetian a chance. If not, she wouldn't have said such words. Gong Yu was naturally able to tell that this Yi actually chose to forgive. Why is your heart so big? The man that you like is so bad, yet you actually chose to forgive him? Are you that stupid? No need, this might be my fate. In any case, I am also his fake wife. However, no matter how fake I am, I still have to act for others to see. At that time, I still have to give birth to a child. If not, Big Brother Emperor will not let this matter go. Gong Yu directly threw the blame onto Yi Hua. Yi's heart was being tortured over and over again, but she still had to force a smile on her face. Sometimes, Yi would think that if she was beaten to death that day, it would also be a kind of release. Seeing that Yi was suffering, Gong Yu felt great in her heart. She continued and said, Yi, I will be leaving first then. Jietian and I will think of a way to save you. After finished speaking, Gong Yu disappeared. Right now, Yi hated herself for not having the ability to save herself. If it was possible, I would want to save myself and not need anyone's help. Because, I feel really bad. I am just like a burden, causing others to worry, and I even have to take risks. Lightly touching the mirror, Yi wished that Yi Juetian would tell the truth to me. Although I would get angry, at least I would know that Ye wouldn't lie to me. Could it be that I am not trustworthy anymore? Yi Juetian laid on the bed, and Gong Yu's body fragrance lingered on the blanket. This caused Yi Juetian to immediately sit up and change the blanket. The matter that happened yesterday night was a mistake. 3 days passed by very quickly. Yi Juetian discovered that Yi had changed a lot, and became a lot colder towards him. I don't even know why it is like this. Could it be that I did something wrong? Why did it become like this? Towards this kind of matter, Yi Juetian felt very sad. Every time he saw Yi's attitude, his entire body would tremble. Meanwhile, Gong Yu was no different from usual during these few days. It was as if nothing happened that night. Yi Juetian also felt guilty in his heart, and thus, he treated Gong Yu very well, to the point where it seemed as if he would agree to all of Gong Yu's requests. Wherever Gong Yu wanted to go, Yi Juetian's figure would be by her side. The two of them were just like lovers, at least in the eyes of the palace maids. However, the palace maids discovered one thing: the emperor had already not appeared for a few days. During these few days, Yi Hua seemed to have been doing one thing, and that was pacifying his spoils of war. During these few days, Qian Yuqing finally knew what was called ferocious. Whenever she saw Yi Hua, she would feel scared. Yuqing, are you happy? Yi Hua hugged onto Qian Yuqing, who was in his embrace, and Qian Yuqing didn't even have the strength to open her eyes. In fact, she didn't even want to speak anymore. Yi Hua let out a light sigh. So, Yuqing is still not happy. Seems like your husband is still not doing enough. Hearing what Yi Hua said, Qian Yuqing felt as if all of her strength had surged into her body. No. Husband is doing enough, it is Yuqing who is unable to bear it. End of this chapter. Chapter 1102. I like hearing that. Yi Hua was very inflated. I'm a man, after all men want to conquer a woman. Of course, I hope that the woman will say that I am formidable. Could it be that I want the woman to say that I am incapable and that it will be over in just a few minutes? Just a moment ago, Qian Yuqing was shocked, and right now, she became pitiful again. Yi Hua, I promise that I will be obedient in the future, but you can't bully me like this. Qingye and Baiji will laugh at me. Yuqing, they are all experienced people, and they have been tortured by me quite a lot in the past. Furthermore, you are a newlywed. Yi Hua sniff, sniff, sniff. I will be obedient, okay? Qian Yuqing would start acting coquettishly the moment she got into a disagreement, and on this point, she was a bit similar to Qin Yutong. When he thought of his sister-in-law, he didn't know what she was doing. She had been out for a while. I don't know if those women have helped me draw the hatred. If there isn't, hee, you women, don't come back. Aren't you going to wake up? Yi Hua asked curiously. Qian Yuqing pouted. Look at me. Can I still stand up? Sigh, I'll get used to it. Qian Yuqing pouted her cherry lips and hammered Yi Hua unhappily. However, Yi Hua turned his head around. Keep a straight face. Qian Yuqing was startled. She lowered her head and said embarrassedly, I'm sorry. She felt wronged in her heart. I just lightly hammered you. Don't be like this. However, right after she finished thinking, she felt a kiss on her forehead, and soon after, she saw Yi Hua, who was smiling mischievously. I'm just teasing you, idiot. Yi Hua said faintly. On the bed, clothes. Qian Yuqing really wanted to use her small fists to hammer Yi Hua until he fainted. Not only is this scoundrel bullying people, he is also scaring people. Much worse than before. However, he was more understanding than before. Yi Hua directly went to his mother's bedroom. After all, it had been a few days since he last went to his mother's bedroom. Within Lu Jing's bedroom, Qingye and Donghuang Baiji were accompanying Lu Jing by her side. Daji had also come out. Seeing that her master had arrived, Daji called out respectfully, Master. Yi Hua waved his hand and said lightly, Mother. Seeing that his mother didn't seem to be acting strangely, Yi Hua felt a bit more at ease. Yi Hua, you must know how to control yourself, your body is important. Lu Jing chuckled. Of course, she knew that her son had been spoiling Yuqing these days. This was a good thing. If Yuqing could get pregnant soon, she might be able to have a look. Yi Hua laughed lightly, Mother, my body is very good, what are you two doing? Mother, are you knitting a sweater for your little grandson? Qingye and Baiji are still the ones who are so skilled, Mother had to learn for a few days before she could do it. Lu Jing said with a smile while knitting a sweater. Yi Hua let out a puzzled sound, little grandson. Yeah, Yuqing will definitely have a baby. And your younger brother, Gong Yu will have a baby too, Lu Jing said with a loving smile. Yi Hua asked gravely, Xiao Tian and Gong Yu slept together? Qingye nodded her head. At the start, she also found it hard to believe, Yi Hua, I heard from the palace maid that the two of them have indeed slept together, and these few days, the two of them can be said to be inseparable. Xiao Tian seems to be taking care of Gong Yu a lot, bringing Gong Yu around the palace, and sometimes, he would even go out of the palace to play. There is such a thing? Yi Hua found it hard to believe. This little brother of mine has changed too quickly, right? However, this was also good. If he could see Yi's true colors earlier, he wouldn't be too sad in the future. Dong Huang Baiji said with a smile, "That's right. When do you plan to let them get married?" "Yehua, I think that we should make preparations for this matter in advance. What do you think?" Lu Jing asked lightly, handing the decision over to Yihua. Yihua also felt that this matter should be settled. "I don't want to wait until I become pregnant before getting married." "All right, I will call the two of them over and ask them about the situation," Yihua said faintly. After all, it was still better to let Yi Juetian make the decision himself. "That's good too, let's ask the two of them for their opinion." These few days, the two of them have really been sticking to each other like glue, Lu Jing said with a smile. Right now, the two of them were really happy and harmonious. Yihua immediately sent a voice transmission to Yi Juetian, telling him to bring Gong Yu to his mother's bedroom. Yi Juetian and Gong Yu were currently in the backyard, and when they heard that their big brother came, they immediately prepared to head over. In actuality, Yi Juetian didn't want to accompany Gong Yu, but he felt guilty in his heart, and thus, he could only use this method to atone for his crime. However, the news that Prince Yi and Gong Yu had a very good relationship, and right now, the only thing lacking was a wedding ceremony. Using their fastest speed, Yi Juetian and Gong Yu rushed over to Lu Jing's bedroom. "Mother, big brother, sister-in-law," Yi Juetian greeted respectfully. Gong Yu, who was at the side, could now greet them like this, and she obediently said, "Mother, big brother, sister-in-law." After greeting them, Gong Yu still carried a bit of shyness. Lu Jing was very happy. Right now, the two of them are inseparable. This is truly great. Look at Gong Yu, how obedient, standing slightly behind little Tian. Although it wasn't a lot, it was enough to express her attitude. This was what Lu Jing liked about Gong Yu. Just like Qingye and the others, Gong Yu would always stand behind Yihua, and not in front of Yihua. This was a basic common sense for women. One definitely cannot stand in front of one's husband, that would be a very rude display. At the very least, this was what Lu Jing thought in her heart. "Big brother, what did you call us over for?" Yi Juetian asked. Yihua asked faintly, "I heard that you two have already slept together?" As people who had experienced it, Qingye and Dong Huang Baiji's faces didn't turn red, and their hearts didn't jump. However, Gong Yu was different. Big brother actually directly asked about it, so shy. Just by looking at Gong Yu's expression, everyone knew that such a thing happened. Lu Jing was very gratified. "Little Tian, in the future, after you become a husband, you have to be responsible, don't be as hot-tempered as you were in the past." What else could Yi Juetian say? Sleeping together is a fact, everyone in the palace knows about it, and I even feel that. Yi also knows about it. This is also the reason why Yi is so cold towards me. "Mother, I understand," Yi Juetian said helplessly. "Right now, Yi is still locked up by Big Brother, so I have to calm down and not act recklessly." Yihua asked towards Gong Yu, "You two have been together for a period of time now, how do you feel about little Tian?" Gong Yu said shyly, "Big brother, Ju Tian treats me very well, very considerate, and also takes good care of me, I like him a lot." After finished speaking, Gong Yu lowered her head and looked at her toes. This caused Lu Jing to be happy. Qingye and Dong Huang Baiji seemed to have seen themselves in the past. Right now, they were already an old couple, and there was no longer that kind of shyness anymore. Other than when Yihua was saying sweet nothings to you, you would get goosebumps all over your body. That's good then. "Little Tian, what do you think about Gong Yu?" Yihua asked again. Yi Juetian said lightly, "Big brother, Gong Yu is a good girl, she is virtuous, she is very good." "Since she is very good, Big brother wants to ask you, are you willing to marry Gong Yu?" Yihua asked faintly. Yi Juetian became silent. He didn't straightforwardly tell Gong Yu his decision, causing Gong Yu to feel a bit sad. End of chapter. Chapter 1103. After all, Yi Juetian had hesitated. If he had said it without hesitation, he would have been extremely happy. "Big brother, can I have a word with you?" Yi Juetian looked at Yi Hua and said with a pleading gaze. Yi Hua nodded his head, all right. After the two brothers walked out of the door, Yi Hua waved his hand, and all of the palace maids left. If you have anything to say, just say it. Yi Hua took out a stick of cigarette and lit it up. Yi Juetian looked at his big brother smoking, and said, Big brother, can you give me one as well? Yi Hua took a look at Yi Juetian, then passed one over to him. Yi Juetian took a deep breath and immediately choked. A child even smokes. Yi Hua puffed out a mouthful of smoke and said faintly. Yi Juetian sighed in his heart. Was he just a child in his big brother's eyes? The two brothers just stood outside and smoked. Throwing the cigarette butt on the ground, Yi Juetian extinguished it and said in a solemn voice, Big brother, I can marry Gong Yu. What condition? Yi Hua asked faintly. Although I haven't interacted with this blood-related little brother of mine for a long time, since this little brother of mine wants to talk to me alone, this little brother of mine definitely has a purpose. Can you release Yi? Yi Juetian pleaded. This might be his only chance, the only chance to save Yi. He couldn't let Yi be locked up in the imperial prison forever. Yi Hua knew that this was the condition. What, are you still unwilling to give up? Yi Hua asked faintly. Of course, Yi Juetian wouldn't give up, but he couldn't say it now. Big brother, I only have one request. Let her leave the palace. Regardless of whether she is a spy or not, she won't be able to harm us. Yi Juetian said solemnly. Little Tian, she caused mother's lifespan to be shortened for so long. Do you think that big brother would be able to let her out of the palace so easily? Yi Hua said coldly, and a cold intent shot out from his pair of eyes. Yi Juetian didn't even know how to beg anymore. He could only brace himself and say, Big brother, I'm begging you, okay? Just let little brother do it this time. I promise to listen to you in the future. After hearing that, Yi Hua did not say anything, and once again, he took out a stick of cigarette and started smoking. After a long time, he said indifferently, Fine. Big brother can promise you. Really? Yi Juetian was elated. His big brother actually agreed. However, I will not let Yi out of the palace. Yi Hua said coldly. Why? Yi Juetian didn't understand. What was the difference? Yi Hua said gravely, This Yi was sent by Huang Feidi. If I were to release her just like that, what difference would there be between me and admitting defeat? I want to see what else this Yi can do. Hearing his big brother's words, Yi Juetian's heart turned cold. His big brother was fighting against Huang Feidi, and Yi was just a chess piece in the middle. What do you think? If you agree, big brother can arrange it now. Yi is definitely not going to be released. It is already a kind of benevolence of the universe that I, the Supreme Overlord, am not going to kill her, and Yi is still thinking of releasing the palace. That was absolutely impossible. He had missed her for the rest of his life. Unless he was dead. Yi Juetian sank into deep thought. Although he couldn't leave the palace, it was still better than bringing him to the imperial prison. Anyway, her big brother would let her get married in the future, so why not fight for a chance? After all, it was also a crime for Yi to be locked up in the celestial prison. Was Yi supposed to stay in the celestial prison for the rest of her life? Alright, big brother, I promise you. Yi Juetian said gravely. Yi Hua nodded his head, then asked, Do you hate big brother? Little Tian, I know that everything big brother does is for my own good. Yi Juetian didn't lie, he still understood this bit of logic. Yi Hua was very gratified as he patted onto Yi Juetian's shoulder, Little Tian, in the future, live well with Gong Yu. If you want a woman, big brother can help you find one, but you have to keep your eyes open. Don't be tempted by beauty, your enemies are all cunning. Big brother, I understand. Yi Juetian nodded his head. Now that things have come to this, I can only do this. Alright, let's go in. Yi Hua said lightly, then walked into the house. Lu Jing looked at the two brothers walking into the house, then asked with a smile, What secret are you two talking about that you can't let us know? Gong Yu lightly bit onto her lips and clenched her fists, appearing to be very nervous. Although I don't know what they are talking about, I feel that it is definitely related to marriage. Mother. Yi Juetian shouted out respectfully. Mother, I want to get married to Gong Yu. Yi Juetian said. After hearing that, Gong Yu went into a daze and looked at Yi Juetian dumbfoundedly. Lu Jing also became absent-minded. Little Tian has grown up and is starting to become sensible. Meanwhile, Qingye and Dong Huang Baiji felt that the two brothers definitely came to some sort of agreement just now outside. If not, Yi Juetian wouldn't have agreed to it so straightforwardly. As for what he agreed to do, it should most likely be related to Yi. Good, this is a good thing. Yi Hua, little Tian's wedding will be handed over to you. Lu Jing was very happy. To be able to see her youngest son getting married while she was still alive was also a kind of satisfaction. Yi Hua said lightly, Mother, don't worry, I will definitely hold a grand wedding. Right now, Gong Yu was very excited. No matter what sort of agreement Yi Juetian and Big Brother came to, I will finally be able to officially enter Yi family. Yi Juetian said respectfully, I have troubled mother, big brother, and sister-in-law with regards to my matters. Lu Jing laughed lightly, Little Tian, there is no need to be so courteous since we are family. Seriously, I have to make some arrangements as well. What kind of things do I have to prepare? Seeing that his mother was so happy, Yi Hua felt very happy in his heart. However, the matter that he promised his little brother, Yi Hua would definitely do it. Yi will be released, but she will definitely not take care of mother. After all, I only have one last bottle of medicine left, and I cannot let Yi use it again. If that happens, mother will really die. With Daji watching over, I am also very at ease. As for Yi's arrangements, I will just let her go to the woodshed, she won't be able to cause any big trouble. After coming to this decision, Yi Hua went to make the arrangements. Within the imperial prison. During these few days, Yi had become a lot skinnier, and it seemed like she was showing signs of depression. Yi had been waiting for Yi Juetian to come clean with her every single day, but every single time, Yi would be disappointed. Yi Juetian didn't plan to tell her anything at all. Time to eat. Just as Yi was in a daze, a palace maid came over with the food. Looking at the food, it seemed like it was leftovers. In fact, it even had a bit of a strange smell, it was rancid, there was no helping it, Yi was just that enviable. Thank you. Yi was still very polite. No matter how other people treated her, Yi would always maintain her original intentions and not fight with others. The palace maid snorted coldly, why didn't you get beaten to death by Prince Yi? It is truly a miracle that you are still alive. Yi took out the food from underneath the table. However, when the palace maid saw that Yi was ignoring her, she became furious. The palace maid kicked the food over, and the food even landed on Yi's hand. That hand of Yi's fiercely smashed onto the metal pole. Yi was in so much pain that cold sweat began flowing out of her body. End of this chapter. Chapter 1104. Look at you. You should be killed. Living is just a waste of food. The palace maid snorted coldly and left without even turning her head back. Yi held onto her hand and didn't say anything. Looking at the food that was scattered on the floor, Yi endured the pain and placed the food into her bowl. Tears of helplessness flowed out from the corner of her eyes. At this moment, the sound of armor rubbing against each other could be heard, causing Yi to raise her head to take a look. Two black-armored warriors walked over, and behind them was a female official. Yi wiped her hands and hurriedly stood up. Not knowing what was going to happen, she felt afraid. However, the bad thing that Yi imagined didn't happen. The black-armored warriors directly opened the cage. Yi was very confused. What are they doing? At this moment, the female official walked over and said softly, "Follow me." Me? Can I go out now? Yi slightly frowned and asked, a little disbelieving. The female official nodded her head. Yes, you can come out now. The corner of Yi's mouth gradually curved up. I can really go out now. Could it be that Ye did it outside? It must be Ye, if not, I wouldn't be able to go out so quickly. But Ye, why didn't you tell me the truth? There shouldn't be any secrets between us. Hurry up. Seeing that Yi was still in a daze, the female official couldn't help but shout out. Oh, I'm coming out now. Yi walked out of the heavenly prison, looked up at the sky, and breathed in the familiar air, as if she had been reborn. Female official, where are we going? Yi asked softly. The female official said gravely, you are going to work in the woodshed. Woodshed? Yi muttered. After doing such a thing, it was definitely possible for her to serve the Empress Dowager. Toward such an arrangement, Yi didn't object, and even felt that it should be done. The woodshed was further away and more secluded, but in any case, it was still inside the imperial palace, which was definitely better than the heavenly prison. In the imperial palace, there was no such thing as eunuchs, all of them were palace maids. After all, Yi Hua wasn't interested in looking at men and transvestites. The palace maids that were sent to the woodshed looked pretty, but those that used palace maids to chop firewood were reckoned to be from Wushu Empire. In the future, you will work here, don't run around. Otherwise, I will not let you off lightly. The female official said coldly. This jinx almost caused her to lose her job. He could not understand how such a person could walk out of the imperial prison alive. If it were him, he would have surely killed him. Yes, I understand, Yi said respectfully. The assistant snorted coldly, turned around, and left. Yi heaved a sigh of relief and turned to look at the woodshed, only to see 2 or 3 palace maids working. Of course it was to chop firewood. Hello everyone, my name is Yi. Yi walked in front of them and greeted politely. However, the palace maid only glanced at Yi and continued with her work. Yi lowered her head in silence. She mimicked the others and prepared to chop firewood. But when Yi picked up the axe, she realized that the axe was really heavy. She couldn't swing it at all. Actually, this woodshed was more like a place of punishment. Whenever a palace maid made a mistake, they would be brought here to chop firewood. They would only be released if they performed well. However, Yi was going to spend the rest of her life here. In Lu Jing's bedroom, a discussion had just ended, and the matter of the marriage had been decided. Marriage was a big matter, and Yi Hua naturally had to bring all of his subordinates to attend. Right now, Yi Zizi was still busy with work, so he still had to wait. There was also his mother's illness that needed to be treated. The wedding was set for 4 months later. By then, Yi Zizi and the others would have more or less finished their work and could come back to attend the wedding. Gong Yu was very happy today, her wish was fulfilled. How can an ordinary woman win against me, Gong Yu? Yi Hua walked out of the room and lit a cigarette. After all, it wasn't good to smoke in the room. I can't let them breathe in secondhand smoke, right? Big brother. She has been released. Yi Hua said faintly. Yi Juetian was happy. As long as she is released, everything will be fine. Yi won't have to suffer in the imperial prison anymore. Big brother, thank you. Yi Juetian said sincerely. He knew what kind of person his big brother was. To be able to let Yi live was already giving him a lot of face. Yi Hua didn't say anything and stretched out his hand. Yi Juetian went into a daze. Big brother, what are you doing? Yi Juetian had a bad feeling, just like the bamboo tube that was confiscated that day. Yi Hua said faintly, you are already married now, don't think about those useless things. I have already said it like this, how could Yi Juetian still not understand? He obediently took out the mirror and placed it on Yi Hua's palm. The mirror instantly turned into dust in Yi Hua's hand, and he said coldly, if I find out what kind of method you used to contact me, don't blame me for being merciless. I got it. Yi Juetian said in a low voice. Originally, I wanted to ask Yi about it, but from the looks of it now, I won't have the chance to do so. She is a spy, do you understand? She was sent by Huang Feidi. Yi Hua said gravely, then walked into the room. Yi Juetian didn't believe that Yi was a spy. This was a thought that emerged from the bottom of his heart. Yi definitely wasn't that kind of person. Yi Hua felt bored standing in the room. Qinya looked like she was taking care of everything. As expected of a strong woman, the way she does things is still as nimble as before. With this, I can finally relax a little. Returning to the bedroom, Yi Hua saw that Qian Yuqing was still sleeping. Still sleeping? Yi Hua sat at the side and lightly moved aside Qian Yuqing's beautiful hair. Looking at Qian Yuqing's beautiful face, Yi Hua felt a bit more comfortable in his heart. Qian Yuqing slowly opened her eyes, then used her cheek to rub against Yi Hua's palm. Yi Hua, your palm is so warm, so comfortable. My embrace is even warmer. Yi Hua pinched onto Qian Yuqing's cheek and said lightly. And very comfortable. Qian Yuqing was currently enjoying it very much. I finally completed my wish, this feeling is really good. Perhaps, not too long later, I will be able to get pregnant with Yi Hua's child, and the child will definitely be a very obedient child. However, I hope that the child won't be like Yi Hua's personality. Little Tian is going to get married. Yi Hua said lightly. Qian Yuqing's gaze became much more serious as she cried out in surprise. Little Tian is going to get married? With who? Seems like you know quite a lot of things. Yi Hua said gravely. Seeing that Yi Hua was about to flip out, Qian Yuqing became afraid, and she didn't even dare to look straight at Yi Hua's gaze. Yi Hua asked faintly, tell me, should I hit you or not? I should. Qian Yuqing said, feeling wronged. Qian Yuqing is already your wife, and yet you still hit me. Don't you feel sorry for your wife? Yi Hua stretched out his hand and flicked onto Qian Yuqing's forehead. If you continue to help me, I will let you experience what it means to not get down from the bed for a month. Understood. Qian Yuqing said pitifully. That obedient look of hers caused Yi Hua to become a bit restless again. End of this chapter. Chapter 1105. Yi Hua. Is little Tian married to Gong Yu? Qian Yuqing asked doubtfully. Then, who do you think it is with? Yi Hua said indifferently as he rubbed his temples. Because of his younger brother's matter, he was also extremely worried. Qian Yuqing knew that it would be like this. Yi was currently in such a passive position. It was impossible for her to marry Zhu Tian. But why did Yi Juetian suddenly agree? Perhaps it was also because of Yi. Did you let Yi go? Qian Yuqing asked. As expected of my woman, her brain is still very active. Shao Tian himself said that he will live well with Gong Yu in the future. Yi Hua said lightly. Qian Yuqing understood Yi Juetian quite well. Living a good life was definitely out of the question. That's fine too. Qian Yuqing didn't know what to say anymore and could only go along with Yi Hua's wishes. Get up and eat. Why are you still sleeping? Mother just told you not to bother me. I don't believe you. You're just bullying me, talking nonsense in front of my mother. Qian Yuqing pouted. Even though she was thousands of years old, this action was still very cute. Then why don't you go and explain? You really said that? Yeah, Yuqing won't let me get out of bed. Yi Hua, how can you be like this? If mother's attitude towards me changes, I will definitely not let you off. Qian Yuqing immediately ran out of the bedroom. Her waist was really not sore, her legs did not hurt anymore, she could run a few hundred meters in a single breath. Yi Hua shook his head. Just a while ago, he was still saying that he was going to die from the pain, and yet, right now, he can be so unrestrained. It seems like I, the Supreme Overlord, have still underestimated Yu Qing. I wonder how Yu Tong is doing right now. I have to contact her. Qing Yutong. What are you doing? Yi Hua transmitted his voice to Qing Yutong and asked. 1 second, 1 minute, 5 minutes, Qing Yutong. Yi Hua shouted out. Brother-in-law, what are you doing? Qin Yutong's lazy voice sounded out in Yihua's mind. Speak human language. Brother-in-law, I'm sleeping, sob sob sob, humph your ass. Qin Yutong pouted her mouth. Brother-in-law, sister-in-law misses you. Can we have sex? Get lost. Sure, can you be a little more normal? Qin Yutong let out a yawn. Alright. What orders does brother-in-law have for me? Just what are you all doing? When are you all coming back? Yihua asked gravely. If it's fast, it'll take 1 year, if it's slow, it'll take 10 years. That's about it. Yihua, I'll give you 4 months. If you can't do it well, don't come back. With that, he disconnected the call. Right now, Qin Yutong was lying on a cradle, and beside her, there were 2 palace maids that were kneeling on the cradle. One of the palace maids was shaking the cradle, and the other 2 palace maids were lightly fanning the cradle. There was even one kneeling at the side, peeling strange fruits. Have you ever seen a banana-shaped peach before? There were grapes the size of oranges. They were simply too delicious. This was something that could not be found in the north and could only be enjoyed in the south. Qin Yutong and the others had already arrived at Yang Haotian's empire, and they had already stayed there for more than 10 days, and they felt very comfortable. He had even forgotten his purpose of coming out. Yi Zizi, just now, brother-in-law sent a message over. Qin Yutong continued to close her eyes, and even wore a pair of sunglasses. However, beside Qin Yutong, Yi Zizi was also in the same mode. Not only Yi Zizi, there was also Yu Hua, Brett, and Kai Yun. There were 5 women in a row. Big braised egg Ren Yao was currently fishing. Meanwhile, this place was specially set up by Qi Shuwen in the Imperial Palace, and it was for these women to enjoy themselves. Yi Zizi pouted her mouth. What orders did His Honor give us? I think he said that he wants us to complete the mission in 4 months, and if we don't go back, then don't go back. After finished speaking, Qin Yutong let out a yawn. I'm so sleepy, I really want to sleep. The main reason is that the south's weather is too pleasant. When the wind blows, it feels just like being in Sanya. I really miss it. Kai Yun immediately sat up. We have to hurry up and make a plan then. Brett's slender and beautiful legs were placed on top of each other as she asked lightly, do you have a plan? Qin Yutong said embarrassedly, I am still thinking about it. This place seems to be rather close to the Deity Academy. Yu Hua said lightly, seemingly having already placed her target on the Deity Academy. Qin Yutong said unhurriedly, it is best for us not to get involved in the matter between Meridian Break Sect and the Deity Academy. Brother-in-law has already made arrangements for Ali and the others. There is no need for us to get involved. What are we going to do then? The most formidable forces in the south are Meridian Break Sect and the Deity Academy. Could it be that there is an existence that is even more formidable? Kai Yun asked curiously. He picked up a fist-sized grape at the side and fiercely took a bite. The grape juice shot all over his mouth, and under the illumination of the sunlight, the grape juice was golden and dazzling. Yi Zizi said with a look of disdain, Kai Yun, can you not be so disgusting when you eat? Shooting the juice all over my mouth. None of your business. Kai Yun pouted his mouth, then immediately retorted. Yu Hua, who was at the side, lightly wiped the corner of Kai Yun's mouth. Yi Zizi snorted coldly. This kind of bickering is already a normal thing. I am not surprised at all. Look at how calm and collected the guardian Ren Yao who is fishing is right now. He has already developed a strong immunity to bickering. After all, in the hands of the 5 perverts, no matter how he tries to resist, it is useless. Therefore, since he is unable to resist, he might as well enjoy the struggle. Yutong, if we return empty-handed, we will definitely receive His Honor's punishment. Brett said lightly. In actuality, he was not afraid of His Honor's punishment, but rather, he was afraid of His Honor's disappointment. Qin Yutong let out a light sigh. How would I know? Who else can we offend? Furthermore, it is that kind of super strong person. To brother-in-law, he just wants to spread Wushu Empire's name. Thinking up to here, Qin Yutong's eyes shone. I have an idea. Qin Yutong shouted out. What idea? Yi Zizi hurriedly asked. Do something. How do we do it? I don't know. Everyone, Qin Yutong felt that it would be better to just sleep and have fun for the remaining 4 months. After that, I will go back and receive a scolding. At most, I will not be able to get off the bed for a few days. What's the big deal? In any case, it is quite comfortable. That would be a reward in disguise, hee hee. Right at this moment, Yang Haotian slowly walked in with an emperor's might on his face. With a wave of his hand, the palace maids all left the room. After everyone left the room, Yang Haotian's expression changed. Big sisters, how are your moods today? Not good. The 5 women said at the same time. Yang Haotian's heart sunk. Why are these 5 women in a bad mood? Yang Haotian secretly looked towards Yi Zizi's butt. That red packet is so damn tempting, when will I be able to get it? Big sister, do you need me to barbecue for you all? No need, just tell me, who else is strong in the south? Qin Yutong asked curiously. End of chapter. Chapter 1106. Yang Haotian was puzzled. Everyone else is hiding, yet you two are looking for me. Although you two are very perverted, in this world, there is no lack of perverted people. Then, that expert is going to die very miserably. You two are already so perverted, can't you just let others live? Why do you two have to act cool? After acting cool, you still have to make others feel despair. This is not good at all. Big sister, I really don't know. The strongest ones are Broken Meridian Sect and Deity Academy. Yang Haotian said helplessly. Brett suddenly asked, do you have any way to make Wushu Empire famous? Make Wushu Empire famous? Yang Haotian asked puzzledly. Brett nodded his head. As for whether it is a good reputation or a bad reputation, Brett was naturally biased towards a bad reputation. What's the point of a good reputation? Only a bad reputation is interesting. It would be best if everyone in the south besieged Wushu Empire, then his honor would be satisfied. However, to besiege Wushu Empire, I have to attract a lot of hatred. Yang Haotian pondered for a long time, then suddenly clapped his hands. I have a way to make Wushu Empire famous. Let's go to the Evil Men's City. Hearing the words Evil Men's City, Yi Zizi and Brett's eyes shone. We feel that this is the place we belong to. Kai Yun and Yu Hua revealed curious expressions as well. Qinya asked puzzledly, what does this Evil Men's City mean? This Evil Men's City is a lawless area, and the powers here are very complicated. There are many experts here, and most importantly, killing people in the city is not against the law. If you are able to get rid of the city lord, you will become the city lord yourself. Qin Yutong asked curiously, what does this have to do with becoming famous? In actuality, this Evil Men's City itself is a power. It is a bit weaker than Broken Meridian Sect and Deity Academy, but it is still a very powerful existence. Killing people in the Evil Men's City will immediately make you famous. Following Yang Haotian's words, Qin Yutong indeed had to think about it. I feel that it is feasible. Yi Zizi was the first to agree. I can kill everyone in the Evil Men's City. Brett said, I feel that it is feasible as well. Yi Zizi snorted coldly and thought, you big-breasted girl, trying to imitate me. I want to go and play as well. Kai Yun also seemed to be interested in that Evil Men's City. The main thing was that he could kill people in the city. That feeling would definitely be awesome. Yu Hua was naturally on Kai Yun's side. Qin Yutong spread out her hands. Let's go to this Evil Man's City then, milk to death, then I'll definitely be your guide. Of course, Yang Haotian would follow her. He would follow Yi Zizi even if he had to die. Unless she returned the red packet to him, he would be no different from a walking corpse. Ren Yao continued fishing and pretended not to hear. All of you go. Let this guardian fish here. You should properly be an emperor here, what are you following us for? There is a difference between men and women. Qin Yutong said with a slight smile. Yang Haotian was unconvinced. He pointed at Ren Yao and said, "Isn't he a man?" "Of course he's not a man. Don't you know that?" Yi Zizi retorted. Ren Yao, who was fishing, trembled. They were discussing whether she was a man or not again. What's wrong with transvestites? Did transvestites steal your vegetables or eat your cucumber? He was actually prejudiced against transvestites. Actually, this evil men's city is not that easy to go to, Yang Haotian advised earnestly. Brett snorted, "There is no place in this world that I, Brett, cannot go." Boasting, Yi Zizi muttered. Flat-chested girl. You have been very arrogant recently. Big-chested girl. What do you want to do, fight? Come on. Come on. Come on. If you have the ability, come on. Qin Yutong shook her head helplessly. The two of them were like huskies, the strongest kings. However, they were unable to fight. Then, tell me, how is it difficult? Qin Yutong asked. Yang Haotian's gaze became dignified as he said gravely, "Evil men's city. Of course, it has to be an extremely vicious and evil person. Coincidentally, I am that kind of person. With me around, I will definitely be able to bring big sisters into the city. Everyone, wow, big brother, you are so fierce. You are actually an extremely vicious and evil person. Why don't you have committed countless crimes?" Kai Yin looked at Yang Haotian and revealed a strange smile. "Do we look like good people to you?" Yang Haotian shook his head reflexively. "How can you guys be good people? I, Yang Haotian, will go and eat dog shit. I will not even blink when eating dog shit." Plop. Yang Haotian immediately knelt down. "Big sister, just bring me along to play, let this little brother experience big sister's brilliance." In actuality, what Yang Haotian wanted to say was that he wanted to experience big sister's brilliance. Yi Zizi said gravely, "No way." Yang Haotian wanted to cry. "Can't you give me a chance? I only want a red packet, let my red packet system return to normal, let my strength improve. What is wrong with this? What is wrong with this? Just where did I, Yang Haotian, go wrong, tell me?" He only dared to think these words in his heart, fearing that he would be beaten if he said it out. Qin Yutong understood Yi Zizi's meaning, so she decided, "I will bring you along then." After hearing that, Yang Haotian became happy. Big sister is still more humane. Heart, Yutong. Yi Zizi didn't understand. "Why do I have to bring him along?" Qin Yutong said in a low voice, "Zizi, don't you feel that this Yang Haotian and that Ren Yao together is quite interesting? If there is only Ren Yao, it will be less fun." "That is true, but that fellow is always staring at my butt, I really want to suck him to death." Yi Zizi said angrily. "Just this once, we will be going back." Yi Zizi thought about it and agreed with what Qin Yutong said. Yang Haotian was thinking in his heart, "This might be my last chance. If I don't succeed, I will have to go and die. Big sister, when are we setting off? Let's play for a few more days, and bring me some more fruits." "Oh right, are there any entertainment activities?" Qin Yutong asked faintly. "I guarantee that big sister will be satisfied, little brother will go and arrange it right now." Looking at Yang Haotian leaving, Qin Yutong said in a low voice, "Look, with a little brother by our side, we won't have to do much." The few nodded their heads. What Qin Yutong said makes sense. After all, little brother is used to do things, just like his honor. He never does anything, little brother is always the one doing everything. At this very moment, in a certain cave in the south, a faint fire was lit up. Woof, woof, woof. A golden retriever could be seen running to the entrance of the cave and barking excitedly, as if it was returning home. Long Haotian and Jiao Yi were naturally walking behind the golden retriever. Dad, when Long Haotian and Jiao Yi heard the golden retrievers barking, the corner of their mouths couldn't help but twitch. This is a child who was pricked by silver needles, Chu Yuxuan. End of this chapter. Chapter 1107. Chu Yuxuan ran out happily and even jumped around as he looked at Long Outyan and shouted. That tall and big body was the same height as Long Outyan, but he still called Long Outyan daddy. Long Outyan decided to give Chu Yuxuan acupuncture treatment later. After so many days, I have already trained enough. I have to make this Chu Yuxuan back to a normal person, if not, my son will be jealous. Long Yang was indeed very jealous. He stood at the side and did not say anything. Little brother, big brother will hug you. Chu Yuxuan grinned. Long Yang was so scared that he immediately ran into the cave and shouted, Mommy. Chu Yuxuan also did the same. Mommy. Long Outyan, who was outside, let out a heavy sigh. Outyan, it's fine, isn't it just having an older son? Jiu Yi laughed lightly. Jiu Yi, I will pass this son to you. Jiu Yi, can't raise such an old son. The two of them were hunting wild animals. They temporarily stayed here and did not dare to be too ostentatious. Outyan, you are back. Meng Meng was still so gentle. After so many years, she still maintained the same appearance. Wife, wild chicken, wild boar. Long Outyan laughed lightly. Wow, today's harvest is quite a lot. Did you guys run very far? This is too dangerous, those people seem to be chasing after us. Meng Meng was very worried, but when she looked at Death Assassin at the side, she became confident again. Master is here, there is no need to be afraid, go and cook first, I am hungry. Long Outyan patted his chest muscles were very developed. Chu Yuxuan pouted, Mommy, I am hungry. Long Outyan felt that he could not continue watching anymore. This is too disgusting, I will definitely stab him back. Son, come here. Long Outyan waved his hand. Long Yang thought that he was called, but that Chu Yuxuan ran very quickly and directly snatched over. Long Yang felt wronged and directly cried to look for his mother. This bad guy, snatching my father. Long Outyan decided to do it. Son, Daddy will play a game with you, okay? Long Outyan said seriously. Okay, I like to play with Daddy. Hearing this, Long Yang cried even louder. Daddy doesn't want me anymore and still wants to play games with other people. Long Outyan temporarily ignored Long Yang and looked at Chu Yuxuan with a smile. Sit in front of Daddy and don't move. Daddy will transfer some energy to you. Really? Chu Yuxuan asked innocently. Of course it's true. When have I ever lied to you? If you don't believe me, you can ask Jiu Yi. Lord Jiu nodded and said, yes, this game is really fun. Okay, let's play then. Dad, don't work too hard. All right. Chu Yuxuan sat cross-legged in front of Long Outyan. Long Outyan took out a pack of silver needles and lit up the oil lamp. He needed to disinfect it. Son, it will be a little painful later. You have to bear with it. Okay, Dad, I understand, Chu Yuxuan said obediently. Lord Jiu, can I trouble you to hold the oil lamp for me? Lord Jiu took the oil lamp and asked curiously, can you see it clearly? Yes, it's all right. Long Outyan blinked his eyes. His eyesight had been a little problematic recently. However, the sun was shining brightly outside the cave. Daddy, it hurts. Chu Yuxuan seemed to have felt a pricking sensation and couldn't help but shout out. Long Yang immediately calmed down. So Daddy is pricking someone, so scary. Son, bear with it for a while, it will be fine soon. Long Outyan squinted his eyes and pricked a silver needle into Long Yang's body. Then, he let out a heavy breath. When the silver needle is being pricked, a technique is needed. The profoundness of the technique is very profound, ordinary people wouldn't be able to understand it. When Lord Jiu, who was at the side, saw Long Outyan pricking the silver needle, he felt that he was a bit sloppy. Suddenly, he turned his head to take a look. The outside seems to be brighter than the inside. Should I remind Long Outyan? However, seeing how concentrated Long Outyan was, Lord Jiu was afraid that he would disturb Long Outyan. After thinking about it, he decided to forget about it. What if Long Outyan becomes a retard if he is not careful? After all, he is already retarded enough right now. After a long while, Long Outyan let out a deep breath. Soon after, his chi sank into his dantian. Done and done. Chu Yuxuan's head could be seen to be filled with silver needles. Chu Yuxuan's body was already fixed in place, but there wasn't any sign of pain on his face. Long Outyan took a look. Seems like it is safe this time. Finally, there is one less son. Jiu Yi also felt happy for Long Outyan. There is finally one less idiot. However, why does Long Outyan feel that there is something strange this time? It was too quiet. Long Outyan removed the needles and walked over to Chu Yuxuan to examine him. Lord Jiu squatted beside Long Outyan and asked, "Will we succeed this time?" "I think so." "What will happen if I fail?" Long Outyan's mouth twitched. "Is there a worse time than now?" Lord Jiu felt that these words were true. Chu Yuxuan slowly opened his eyes. Long Outyan's heart was heavy. "Do you agree or not? Give me an answer." Looking at Chu Yuxuan's expression, Long Outyan felt that there was hope. At the very least, his expression was no longer that of a child's. Instead, it carried a sense of seriousness and vicissitudes. "Who am I?" Long Outyan pointed at himself excitedly. "Father," Chu Yuxuan said coldly. Long Outyan was speechless. "You motherf asterisk cur." If he had been a retarded child before, then he was now imitating a cold and aloof Prince Charming. Lord Jiu patted Long Outyan's shoulder. "You're much better than before. You just need to practice more." Lord Jiu was now afraid of Long Outyan. Fortunately, he had not been stabbed to death by Long Outyan back then. "Grandfather." Puff. Lord Jiu almost puked out a mouthful of blood. Long Outyan suddenly laughed out loud. This Lord Jiu was still laughing at me just now. Now that I have become a grandfather, it should be comfortable now, right? Long Outyan pointed at Lord Jiu and laughed. "What should I call him?" "Grandpa," Chu Yuxuan said in a deep voice. His voice was cold and aloof. Long Outyan laughed out loud again. Finally, there was someone who got implicated. Lord Jiu said impatiently, "What should I call him?" "Father." "Then what should he call me?" Lord Jiu asked. "Father." Long Outyan immediately stopped laughing. It seems like I am the one who suffered a loss." "Ha ha ha." Lord Jiu's laughter rang out in the cave. "Just now, you wanted to laugh at me." Woof woof woof. Golden Retriever, who was at the side, also started barking. Lord Jiu stretched out his hand and patted Xiao Bao's head. A gentle smile appeared on his face. Although this kind of life is not very good, it is still very happy. This was the original intention of my search. "Did you fail again?" Meng Meng walked over and asked. "Mother." Chu Yuxuan shouted out coldly. Then, he looked at Long Yang and shouted, "Little brother." "Everyone, Long Outyan still hasn't given up. I must definitely stab him to death no matter what." "Time to eat," Meng Meng said lightly. The few of them sat together and ate, and Death Assassin was still sitting cross-legged, seemingly like he was meditating. "Meng Meng, after discussing with Lord Jiu for a bit today, we still have to leave," Long Outyan said gravely. Chapter 1108. Meng Meng picked up a piece of meat for Long Outyan and said, "Outyan, you can make the decision. Our child and I will always follow you." Long Outyan stretched out his hand and patted Meng Meng's shoulder. Having a wife like Meng Meng in this life was enough. At this moment, Lord Jiu said in a deep voice, "The people from the Heavenly Assassins organization seem to be from a very strong sect. They are chasing us relentlessly. Today, when we went hunting, we met someone. He said that there is a place called Evil Men City not far from here." Long Outyan added, "I heard that the city of vile men is a lawless zone. Furthermore, these sects will not enter. So, I think that we can hide in the city of vile men and come out after the storm has passed. Meng Meng put down her chopsticks and asked curiously, Aotian, what does this evil man city mean? The kind where you can kill people on the streets, Lord Jiao said in a deep voice. This evil men's city was not a good place, but it was better than where they were now. Furthermore, with the Almighty there was nothing to fear. Long Aotian thought so too. With his master around, he would definitely be safe. After Meng Meng heard this, she slightly frowned and immediately asked, is the evil men's city really good? I'm scared of Long Yang. Meng Meng was worried that if the child grew up in such an environment, it would be a problem in the future. Indeed, Long Aotian was a little worried about his child. However, the current situation was not very optimistic. Being chased by such a powerful sect was not a good thing. No matter how strong the master was, there was only one master. If someone restrained the master, then the others would also be in danger. This was especially true for his wife and children. If they were not strong enough, it would be easy for them to be caught. Lord Jiao opened his canteen and drank a mouthful. Sister-in-law, perhaps the evil men's city is not what we imagine it to be. However, there is one thing we can be sure of. Those sects will not go to the evil men's city. Meng Meng nodded, but she was still very worried. At this time, Chu Yuxuan coldly said, Mom, don't worry, I have a son. No one can bully you. Unless you step over my dead body. What awe-inspiring righteousness, what heroic words, what magnificent feat, Grandpa. Daddy. Don't worry, I'm here. No one can touch a single hair of yours. And my little brother. Chu Yuxuan said with a cold expression. Everyone, big brother, don't talk anymore. I'm getting goosebumps. However, at this moment, Death Assassin opened his eyes. Master. Long Aotian was delighted. His master had been sitting for an entire day, and he had woken up in the afternoon. The Death Assassin had been contacting his superior, Death Mage. However, the Death Assassin's strength was still limited. The distance was too far, and it was impossible for the Death Assassin to transmit his voice. Meanwhile, Death Mage had already forgotten that he still had a little brother outside. Back then, he had ordered Death Assassin to stay by Long Aotian's side, and right now, Death Assassin was about to become his family. One must know that in the past, the Death Assassin was in existence without any humanity. Now that he had humanity, it was truly not easy. The Death Assassin's black eye sockets emitted out a red light. It slowly stood up and gestured with its hands. His sign language skills were amazing. Of course, Jiao Yi didn't dare to be rash. That skeleton from back then was still vivid in his mind, and that skeleton actually liked to fish and smoke cigars. Especially when he was smoking his cigar, his whole body would emit smoke. That kind of scene was really embarrassing. There was also that sinister scythe. Just looking at it was enough to make people shiver. And that, by Yubiubiu. Although this wasn't that skeleton, it was still very similar to it. Master said that we can go to the evil city to take a look, then make a decision. Long Aotian was delighted in his heart. Since Master has confirmed it, of course we can go. Meng Meng didn't say anything anymore. It is good that Master has such confidence. Jiao Yi lightly stroked Xiao Bao's head. The latter licked his lips and half closed his eyes, enjoying this moment very much. After we finish eating, we will pack up and set off to the evil city. Long Aotian also didn't want to live his days of hiding. If those people didn't come that day, I might still be living a comfortable life. Right now, I am unable to live a comfortable life at all. Death Assassin nodded its head. Not sure when it will be able to see its master, and also its master's master's master. After everyone finished eating, Meng Meng prepared some more food, and everyone continued their journey. Death Assassin was currently wearing a black gown, and there was also an iron mask on its face that was a bit rough. However, it was precisely this roughness that gave people a kind of cold intent, as if it didn't have any emotions. Let's just head east. Jiu Yi said softly. Everyone nodded their heads and headed east. If there was nothing to eat along the way, they hunted some wild animals. The pursuers behind them didn't seem to relax and were chasing them closely. After a week, the few of them finally arrived at the evil city. However, what Long Outyan and Jiu Yi did not expect was that there were a lot of ordinary people here. Take the city gate as an example. Previously, they thought that it would be deserted. After all, entering the evil city would mean being killed at any moment. However, looking at these ordinary people, they didn't seem to be afraid at all. Instead, all of them were very excited. It was as if entering the evil city would make them rich. Death Assassin's identity was not discovered by anyone. His attire was very normal, and he avoided other people's gaze. As for Meng Meng, when some men looked at her, her appearance was unquestionable. She was the type of pretty girl from a humble family. Of course, Long Outyan was also very picky. He also took a fancy to Meng Meng's appearance, and she was obedient and well-behaved. The evil city was not that big compared to the other districts. The tall city walls were erected from the ground, and the top of the city walls were all made of that kind of stone. It looked very old, and there were guards standing on top of the city walls, checking the people entering the city. At the entrance of the city, everyone who entered the city had to go through a test. Everyone had to hold on to the steel, and there would be flashes of light on the steel. There was a total of 10 stars. As long as one star lit up, one would be able to enter the city. This meant that the person had already reached the level of a bad person. The more stars there were, it meant that the person had done all sorts of bad things. This kind of situation wouldn't cause the people to feel disgusted. On the contrary, the higher the stars there were, it meant that the person's status in the city was very high. This was simply someone who had broken through the bottom line of morality to be able to have 10 stars. Long Outyan observed for a bit. Basically, all of them were 1 star. Many years ago, I seem to have been a bad person as well. Recently, I have become a good person. Very quickly, it was Long Outyan's turn. This big brother, this is my wife and child, I should be able to bring them in, right? Long Outyan asked. If he was unable to bring them in, there was no need for him to enter the city. Yes. The guard said faintly. I'm afraid that all of them will die in the city. Long Outyan was delighted. As long as I am able to bring them in, it will be great. However, just as Long Outyan was about to start the test, the sound of people giving way came out from the city. What followed after was a stench that smelled like a dead rat. 5 handcarts could be seen slowly being pushed out. On top of the handcart was a white cloth, but a few patches of the cloth were dyed red by blood. End of this chapter. Chapter 1109. Needless to say, it was obvious what this handcart was transporting. There were corpses on it. Look at that hand, it was even exposed. Meng Meng hurriedly covered her son's eyes, while Chu Yuxuan was watching with great interest. The guard said faintly, these are the people who died in the city yesterday, do you guys still want to go in? Long Outyan took a look at Meng Meng. His wife had been following him for a long time, and he had to find a stable place for his wife and son to stay. Yes. The guard nodded. Long Outyan walked to the front of the stone tablet and pressed his hand on it. He prayed in his heart, 1 star, please. The stone tablet emitted a green mist that revolved around the stone tablet. By the first star lit up, it was very beautiful. Long Outyan let out a sigh of relief, luckily I am still an evil person. Just when Long Outyan thought that it was going to end, the second star also lit up. This made the guards stupefied. This handsome man actually has a 2-star index. This can be considered as the opening day. Baiu. Another star appeared. This fellow actually has a 3-star index. The guard couldn't help but look at the others. This man is so bad, and you guys are actually following him. Long Outyan also didn't expect that he would actually have a 3-star index. He immediately looked at Meng Meng. Don't you know what kind of person you are? Meng Meng slightly pouted and even covered Long Yang's eyes, to prevent the child from knowing how bad his father was. 3 stars evil person index was already not a small achievement. This made the other people reveal an expression of respect. They definitely wouldn't go and provoke him. However, right at this moment, a whistling sound could be heard. 3 winged horses could be seen galloping over and steadily stopped at the entrance. Yo, 3 stars, not bad. The man at the front shouted with a frivolous expression, appearing to be very arrogant. This man's appearance wasn't very outstanding, but this arrogant aura was released very well. Seems like he is also a person who frequently acts cool. Following the appearance of the man, the surrounding people started to discuss softly. This is young Master E, the second young master of E family, evil person index 5 stars. What, 5 stars? Is he so awesome? That's for sure. This young Master E is extremely bad. He would kill people just because of a disagreement. Then it's better not to speak, in case he hears us. Yi Xing went out of the city for a stroll today, and when he came back, he happened to see Long Outyan acting cool. A mere 3-star cultivator dares to challenge me, a 5-star cultivator? Long Outyan had been wrong today. He hadn't acted tough for a long time, and he had long given away his title as the Act Tough King. I gave it to that man, the nightmare of this lifetime. I don't want to recall that day anymore. However, it was fortunate that there was such a day. Otherwise, how could he have met Meng Meng? Long Outyan looked at Yi Xing. If it was according to his temper back then, he would have slapped Yi Xing in the face today. But now, he, Long Outyan, had already kept a low profile. He disdained doing such things. Not bad, 3 stars. Are you interested in being my subordinate? Yi Xing turned his head and looked at Long Outyan. He looked down from above as if the evil men's city was his home. I, Long Outyan, hate people like you the most. How dare you act tough in front of me? If it was in the past, he would have given him a tight slap for acting tough. But it was different this time. It was an away game. They couldn't be careless. Furthermore, they were not familiar with the people and the place. What would they do if they were besieged? Young master, you think too highly of me. I only know some mediocre martial arts. Long Outyan cupped his hands and walked over to Meng Meng's side. Yi Xing looked at Long Outyan. He actually rejected him. Yi Xing's face immediately darkened. In this evil men's city, who dares to reject me, young Master E? That person is simply seeking death. Those who rejected me are basically all dead. You have to pay attention. Yi Xing immediately let out a warning. His meaning was very clear. If you have the ability, enter the city. Jiu Yi did not want to pay attention to this kind of idiot. Youngsters just like to act tough. If you don't act tough for a moment, you will die. Evil Man Index, 5 stars. I think that your Evil Man Index is 8 stars. Jiu Yi directly pressed onto the stone tablet. Yi Xing originally wanted to enter the city, but when he saw Jiu Yi pressing onto the stone tablet, he decided to wait for a moment. Along with the appearance of 1 star after another, everyone took in a breath of cold air. This old man is actually so bloodthirsty. However, this was just the beginning. The Evil Man Index was still rising. In the end, when the Evil Man Index stopped above 5 stars, everyone froze. This old man is actually in existence with an Evil Man Index of 5 stars, exactly the same as young Master E. Yi Xing was also very shocked. This old man actually has 5 stars. Is the stone tablet broken? If not, it is impossible for this to be possible. It is normal for Jiu Yi to have 5 stars. Back then, when we besieged Voidless Realm, several 100,000 people died. Giving an evaluation of 5 stars was something that could not be any more normal. Meng Meng also didn't expect that Jiu Yi is actually so evil. In actuality, Jiu Yi also didn't understand. Am I really that evil? Xiao Bao, who was at the side, had a puzzled look on his face. My God, this old man is actually so evil. Old man, he is very evil. Look at young Master Yi, his face has already darkened. That's right, there is an evil man with 5 stars in his team. Yi Xing was indeed in a bad mood right now. Later on, when I enter the city, I will definitely kill them. To actually not give me face at all. Also, that man who is wearing a black iron mask, acting so mysterious, he is even better at acting tough than me. Yo, isn't this young Master Yi? A strange voice could be heard. A man who was wearing a white gown could be seen waving a folding fan as he walked out. He seemed very flirtatious. A bit feminine. His appearance was very similar to that of a woman. That enchanting posture of his really makes people blush with shame. This is Meng family's young master. It should be Big Miss instead. Shoo, this is an existence with a 6-star evil man index. Be careful not to enter the city and get rid of you. 6-star evil man index? My God, is it really that scary? That's right, this is your first time here, right? It is best to be a bit more careful. If not, you wouldn't even know how you died. Yi Xing looked at Meng Yi who was walking over, and his expression wasn't very good. Everyone's arrival truly brings light to this vile city. Meng Yi opened up his arms and slightly leaned forward, appearing to be very hospitable. At the very least, in Long Outyan and Jiu Ye's eyes, this Meng Yi feels much better. As for this Yi Xing, he is just an arrogant person, not interesting at all. This kind of person is a character that the main character can act tough for, and not long later, he will die under the main character's acting tough. Long Outyan and Jiu Yi took a look at each other. After all, they had just arrived here, and they still needed someone to give them some pointers. The water in this vile city is rather deep. Just look at these 2 young masters and you will know, they are definitely like fire and water. Young master, you are too polite. Long Outyan cupped his hands and said. Meng Yi revealed a brilliant smile. Those spotlessly white teeth, those captivating red lips, it really makes people. End of this chapter. Chapter 11:10. I can tell that you have come from afar. Why don't you come to my house as guests? Meng Yi sent out an invitation. These people did not look like good people, and if he could rope them into his camp, he would definitely make a killing. The main thing was to deal a blow to Yi Xing, so why not? How could I? I'm sorry to trouble you, young master. Long Outyan said politely. It's no trouble at all. It's fate that brought us together. Everyone, I'll treat you to the best dishes and wine. Please. Meng Yi smiled and opened his folding fan. Lord Jiu silently nodded his head. He would first go and get some food and a place to stay, then observe the situation. After all, we don't have money on us. Long Outyan knew this as well, so he did not intend to reject it. In fact, if Yi Xing had tried to persuade him just now, he might have gone as well. Unfortunately, this fellow only knew how to show off. Then I'll have to trouble you, young master. Long Outyan cupped his hands and said. He followed Meng Yi into the city. Meanwhile, Meng Yi's gaze landed on Death Assassin. He felt that within this group, this was the worst. Most importantly, he wanted to invite this black robe. Death Assassin originally wanted to touch the stone tablet, but in the end, he did not manage to do so. Fortunately, he did not manage to loot it. Otherwise, it would definitely cause a huge commotion. The Death Assassin was originally summoned from the abyss. It was unknown what kind of bad things he did in his previous life that he ended up in the abyss. With this touch, it would definitely be 10 stars. At that time, Yi Xing would definitely regret it so much that his intestines would turn green. Originally, he had thought that they were minor characters. In the end, they were all major characters. A bronze contestant trying to act cool in front of a few kings was nothing more than a clown. There was nothing to fear. The kind that didn't even bother with them. Only after walking into the vile city did Long Outyan realize that the people here, there were so many of them. Just what kind of city is this evil men's city? It is actually so flourishing. He thought that he would see a fight on the street as soon as he came in, but this was the scene he saw. It was really incomprehensible. The group of people followed Mang Yi and observed their surroundings. This was the first time he had entered the city after coming here for so long. It was as if he had entered an ancient film set. It was a very strange feeling. Even Meng Meng had a curious look on her face. However, a few kilometers away from the city, there was another team preparing to enter the city. Naturally, it was Qing Yutong's team. Qing Yutong recognized Long Outyan. After all, she had met him once at home. That Long Outyan wanted to eat both big and small, but in the end, he was killed by Yi Hua instead. However, right now, Yi Hua had already forgotten about Long Outyan. Ren Yao, your hair hasn't grown out yet. Yang Haotian couldn't help but tease her. Ren Yao touched his bald head. Under the light, it was almost reflective. Yang Haotian, if you talk about my hair again, I'll make sure you don't have any hair on your body. Ren Yao shouted in a deep voice. It was obvious that this was not the first time Yang Haotian had teased Ren Yao about her hair. This big Luodan really couldn't help but want to tease him a little. Yi Zizi and the others were sitting in the carriage at the back. Yi Zizi poked her head out and asked, Luodan, have you arrived yet? Yang Haotian spread his hands. I'm not the only one saying this. If you have the ability, go and shout at these women. A smile immediately appeared on Ren Yao's face. Big sister, we're only a few kilometers away. Hurry up. Really, you're so slow. You have no sense of time at all. Yi Zizi let out a soft snort and retreated back into the carriage. Hi, Lu Dan, Yang Haotian shouted again. Scram. Braised egg, I heard you have a poached egg. Ren Yao tightly clenched her fists. Inside that poached egg is filled with energy that was bred. And it was actually stomped into a poached egg by me. Just thinking about it makes me so angry. Kai Yun, how about we have a competition later on and see who can kill more people? Yi Zizi was already impatient. It has been a long time since I had a chance to massacre a city. It was as if I had returned to the time back then. Brett did not make a sound. I'm not interested in massacring a city, I'm only interested in experts. Yu Hua was also not interested, but she did not oppose it either. Alright, but you can't be shameless and use the absorption skill. Kai Yun naturally knew about Yi Zizi's ultimate move. That move was akin to cheating. This is my skill, why can't I use it? Yi Zizi was unconvinced. If you have the ability, you can use this skill too. Qin Yutong said in a low voice, alright, after we enter the city, let's take a look at the situation first, don't go in and start fighting. Why? It's not like killing people in the city is against the law, why can't I kill them? Yi Zizi refuted. It wasn't easy for me to get this kind of opportunity, so how can I let it go? Because I have to carry out brother-in-law's logic. Qin Yutong straightforwardly brought out Yi Hua. Only Yi Hua would be able to make Yi Zizi and Kai Yun listen to him. As expected, after bringing out Yi Hua, Yi Zizi and Kai Yun did not speak anymore. The few kilometers of journey passed by very quickly, and they finally arrived at the city gate. Brett opened the curtains and took a look, it's merely a so-so. Yi Zizi and the others also took a look at the city wall. This place is too poor, right? Don't they have the money to renovate it? Will there still be people coming to the city? Yang Haotian, what are you lining up for? Qin Yutong shouted out. Big sister, don't worry, this is to check the evil person index. Evil person index? The 5 women looked towards the city gate once again. They saw that everyone who wanted to enter the city had to leave their handprint on the gate. It seems like the more stars there are, the better. I'm going to play. Yi Zizi straightforwardly jumped off the carriage. I finally found something fun to do. When Yang Haotian saw Yi Zizi jumping out of the carriage, he was instantly excited. The red packet on his little butt refused to fall no matter what. So annoying. However, I can't even enter the city gate. Stealing red packets is impossible. Big sister, how about I go? Yang Haotian shouted out fawningly. He no longer dared to shout, Shuang. I'm really afraid that I'll be sucked to death. Yi Zizi could be seen jumping around with a lollipop in her mouth. This was the flavor of a loli that the uncle liked. At the very least, when other people saw Yi Zizi cutting the queue, they didn't say anything. Such an adorable child, it represented innocence, purity, and love. Look at those two ponytails, they are bouncing around rhythmically. If I grab them with both hands, what kind of effect would there be? Very quickly, Yi Zizi came to the side of the stone tablet and looked at the others pressing on the gate. It's too low, I didn't even see anyone with 2 stars, let alone someone with high stars. Little friend, where's your family? This guard seemed to be quite nice and asked. Yi Zizi answered, then looked at the stone tablet and said faintly, they're all dead. The people at the side were a little surprised. Such an adorable child actually lost his parents. Among them, there was a fat uncle. He really wanted to say, child, don't be afraid, from now on, I will be your father. Fortunately, this fat uncle only thought about it and didn't do it. If he really did it, his body would definitely be crushed into pieces. Child, this place is very dangerous, it's better for you to go back. The guard persuaded. Such an adorable child, if he entered the city, he would most likely become the pet of a big character. At that time, how pitiful would he be? End of this chapter. Chapter 11:11. Yi Zizi asked innocently, why should I go back? It's fun here. It's not fun here. People die every day. The guard explained. He had to correct this child's values. That's great. I like to see people die every day. Let me give it a massage. Before the guard could react, Yi Zizi pressed on the corpse. Before the guard could react, Yi Zizi had already touched the stone tablet. You, this child, why are you so? Before he could finish his sentence, the stone tablet could be seen to tremble slightly. A star popped up in front of him. Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. This child was actually an evil person. How was this possible? Such a naive child was actually a 1-star villain. Then what is called naive? How should I define this word in the future? This kind of child. As everyone sighed, the evil person index continued to rise. 5 stars. Everyone's legs turned cold. This child actually has 5 stars. These 5 stars were still going up. Everyone's jaws were about to drop to the ground. Especially this guard, he didn't know how to think at all. His evil person index was now 8 stars. This is a miracle, this little girl is actually a demon. I completely couldn't tell at all. The smile on his face and the lollipop in his mouth were all fake. However, the stars on the stone tablet were actually full. His evil person index had reached 10 stars. Oh my god. What kind of girl was she? Yi Zizi was a little dissatisfied. Why were there only 10 stars? She could fill it up with a few hundred more. However, the stone tablet seemed to be able to hear Yi Zizi's voice as it was shaking violently. Everyone disperse. The guard shouted. Yi Zizi was the first to run away, and the surrounding people also quickly ran away. With a bang, the stone tablet instantly exploded, turning into small stones. Everyone was shocked. This stone tablet had been standing here for thousands of years, and no one had ever blown it up. He actually blew it up today. Where did that little girl go? Where did the culprit go? Right now, the main culprit was already hiding inside the carriage, and he was even hiding inside Qin Yutong's bosom. Wah, the outside is so scary, it scared me to death. Everyone, Brett said lightly, act as hard as you can. Big-breasted girl, what are you talking about? I'll rip you apart. Hee hee, flat-breasted girl, no matter how much you stuff it, it won't become bigger. You. Kai Yun went into a daze for a moment. He suddenly realized that Yizizi seemed to be a bit bigger today. What a good idea. Kai Yun silently looked down, then looked at Yu Hua, then looked at you, and looked at Yu Tong and looked at you, and looked at Yu Hua. Yu Hua, Qing, Yi Yi, and Brett, Yi, I and Hai, it seemed that he really needed to stuff something in. The outside was already in an uproar. Without the steel, how are we going to enter the city? Some of the guards hurriedly went to report to the city lord. They couldn't make a decision on such a matter. The residence of the city lord was naturally filled with people who had committed heinous crimes. At Li inside, he said, I. The one sitting in the middle was the city lord, Mu Hong. He had the cultivation of a supreme being, but of course, he was the lowest kind of supreme being. He had a long beard, but it was not white. Instead, it was black, but his hair was white, giving off a very strange feeling. But, he looked young, which made people feel even weirder. The two Meng family and Yi family, Meng Binjian and Yi Fengxue. The two were acting like normal people. Recently, I heard of something and wanted to ask the two of you. Mu Hong picked up the teacup beside him, blew on it gently and took a sip. However, his eyes were fixed on the two of them. Yi Fengxue and Meng Binjian looked at each other with doubt in their eyes. City Lord, please ask away. If we know, we will definitely tell you. Yi Fengxue said respectfully. Recently, there is a rumor in the city that pure gold has appeared. I wonder if the two of you have heard of it? Mu Hong asked faintly and put down the teacup in his hand. Meng Binjian cupped his hands and said, City Lord, pure gold is a legendary metal that can be used to create top-notch ancient artifacts. However, it has been lost for a long time. I'm afraid that this news is fake. That's right, I thought that it was fake as well, but the news of pure gold has been spreading more and more fiercely in the city. After all, there's no smoke without fire, don't you think so? Mu Hong observed the two's expressions, but he didn't find any clues. Meng Binjian smiled and said, City Lord, I'm afraid that someone wants to make use of the Heavens Arena to cause trouble. Mu Hong didn't continue asking. The Heavens Arena this time is organized by the two of you. When the time comes, heroes from all over will gather. Don't throw away the face of the vile city. Meng Binjian and Yi Fengxue both stood up and shouted respectfully, City Lord, don't worry, we will definitely not disappoint you. Very good, go back and prepare. Yes. Right at that moment, an Imperial Guard hurriedly ran in, report to City Lord. Why are you in such a panic? Mu Hong asked gravely. Meng Binjian and Yi Fengxue, who were originally going to leave, also stopped their footsteps. The Imperial Guard said with fear, City Lord. The stone tablet at the city gate. What happened to the stone tablet? Mu Hong's expression froze. Could it be that there's a problem with the stone tablet? That's impossible. The stone tablet exploded. What? Mu Hong's face was filled with astonishment. That stone tablet actually exploded. Even if I make a move, that stone tablet wouldn't explode. Yi Fengxue and Meng Binjian were both stupefied. That stone tablet could be considered as the facade of the vile city, and it actually exploded today. Doesn't this mean that something bad is going to happen? Who did it? It's a little girl. Her evil index reached 10 stars, and then the stone tablet exploded. After the Imperial Guard finished speaking, even he himself found it hard to believe, let alone the city lord. Bullshit. A little girl is able to make the stone tablet explode. Just what happened? Mu Hong didn't believe this kind of nonsense. 10 stars and the stone tablet explode. Who are you trying to bluff? The Imperial Guard was about to pee in his pants. City Lord, I don't dare to bluff you. A lot of people saw it. That little girl just touched the stone tablet a bit, and the stone tablet exploded like that. At this moment, Yi Fengxue walked forward and said respectfully, City Lord, this matter is not a small matter. We need to consider this matter at length. That's right, after a period of time, when heroes from all over enter the city and find out about the stone tablet exploding, I'm afraid that our vile city will become a laughing stock. Meng Binjian echoed along and said. Mu Hong slowly sat down. What those two said is right, we cannot let too many people know about this matter. If not, our face will be gone. That Meridian Break sect and Shin Academy are already pressuring the vile city from the start, and they will definitely use this matter to attack us. End of this chapter. You're tuning into the Journey of the Soul YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.